Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the European Technology Network. It is the home of European tech. It is the show you watch at work. The day is Thursday, 6th of November. Time is 11:02. And Luke is about to tell you about the beautiful guests that we have coming in today.
Yes. Okay, so a little bit of a switch up today. We've got 6 guests on. First guest coming on at 10 past 11. Nadir Israel, co-founder and CTO of Armis Security. They've just raised $435 million of pre-IPO funding. I feel like led by Goldman Sachs Growth Equity Fund, I believe. Something like that, valued at $6.1 billion. We're going to talk to him about the raise and about everything they're planning for 2026 and forwards. Then we've got George Robson, partner at Sequoia. He's going to be telling us about Sequoia's leadership change and their $950 million funds across early stage investments and all things European investing, all of that jazz. It's going to be good. Then we have founder of Google Maps and Panathenia, the one and only Lars Rasmussen. He's going to be on to talk about Panathenia, the kind of summer slush, I guess, type thing.
Going live in May.
It's insane. It's a beautiful event hosted in Athens with the backdrop of beautiful Athens, so it's going to be good. Then we have Marcus Brent. He's the managing director of BMW I Ventures. Everything about BMW I and their focus on Europe and what they've been up to. It's going to be good. Then we got the big dog Ricardo Amram, partner at Point 9. He's seriously tapped in. I was still talking to him yesterday over DM, and we're going to be talking about all things Point 9 land, the 1X Neo humanoid. He's got a few takes about that, which is going to be good. He's actually involved in Project Europe, so his experience with that and entrepreneurship as an artistic endeavor, which is going to be quite deep actually. It's going to be a good conversation. Also, they invested in Attio as well at seed stage, which then ties perfectly into our headline guest today, Mr. Nicholas Sharp, founder of Attio, newish kid on the block, I guess. Obviously, they're taking on behemoths in the CRM space. They are killing it. They're out-of-home ads in London. I don't know if they're anywhere else, but they're super nice. So we're going to talk to him about everything.
From Malta.
Also, recently got back from Malta.
In Malta, they work hard, but they play harder.
They play harder too.
What have we been up to over the past few days? We have a few trade deals to share with you all. Notice these absolutely gorgeous.
That was perfect timing, eh?
Valerian mugs. Not just the mugs. This amazing cap.
Dare I say, like a nice golf cap?
Yeah, could easily play golf in that. I know I could.
Yeah.
Wouldn't play well, but could definitely play. Thank you to the team over at Valerian. That is a beautiful cap. But not just a cap. Luke, do you have yours there?
Yeah.
Do you want to hold that up for?
Yeah.
Look at these bad boys.
What was mentioned?
Look at these gilets. Beautiful Valerian gilets.
I have no idea where we're going to put these, so I think
winter is upon, perfect for the great lock-in season, actually.
Perfect for the great lock-in season.
September to December. I'm going to put mine down here for now. But let's not forget about our friends over at Floral. This is one of 2 beautiful caps. Luke is now busy. One of 2 beautiful caps from the team over there at Plural, doing God's work. Amazing set of partners and members of the firm, and I mean their resource and their portfolio speaks for itself.
Should we just
also a lovely
should we just mention the GDP X TRL?
Yeah, fresh, very fresh.
That. It's cool.
Lovely jumper. We also have one in pink. We have one in
green and pink.
What colour would you call that? Like a coral green?
Yeah, teal green.
Teal? Is that teal?
I don't know. I'm not really good with
whatever
my
colour this is, we have one of them as well. Why don't we just, when this is filling up,
let's just put
them here for now.
Let's just
take this one.
Let's just do that.
Of me. But last but not least, let's not forget our friends over at Cherry with these beautiful coasters. I'm going to use one right now, actually. Luke, here you go for your Cherry coaster for your Valerian mug. Put this on here, like so. But that's not all from Cherry. We also have these 2 amazing water bowls. Stunning. Take that. Thank you. And that's not all from Cherry. Even more from Cherry.
Cherry
this incredible cap.
crazy.
I think we can probably just get straight on there. Let's put it up maybe on top of ours. for now. Primary estate. Love to see it. But that is not all from Cherry once more, and we have this beautiful
Cherry,
baby
going
blue
crazy
hoodie with a lovely
nuts, really.
graphic on the back there from the
pretty
Cherry
crazy.
team. So shout out to them. But moving on
Good on the
swiftly,
Cherry.
we also
First guest coming in
have our
3
first guest
minutes.
coming in very, very shortly. His name is Nadir Israel, he's co-founder and CTO of the Armis Security.
Should we whistle through the news and what we're going to talk about today?
Go.
Okay, so we are going to talk about Sequoia chief Roelof Botha steps down from Silicon Valley. He has a statement. We're going to talk about that. Sean McGuire had a nice take about how good he is as an investor as well. So we're going to talk about
Palantir shares take a dip. Michael Burry opens big short position. We're going to talk about Burry's tweet and now how people are saying that his tweet is actually winning right now. Palantir shares took an 8% dive following his, again, correlation causation, but Burry opens a short position. Palantir shares taken 8% dive, and also Alex Karp had an interview on CNBC. People are suggesting that he got kind of worked up about it. There were correlations to Altman.
some of the quotes in the article are pretty fiery.
Pretty fiery. Yeah, things got heated.
Pretty fiery. The guy means business.
Karp's a fiery guy. Do you remember when they announced their earnings call and they'd smashed it, and he kind of did like a Conor McGregor style, this one's to our haters out there type speech, which I thought was pretty cool. It's nice to see people caring that much.
Plus the launch of Inception Fund's 21 million euro micro fund. It's basically backed by top kind of Nordic AI founders.
Awesome.
The likes of founders of Lovable, Legora, Aris Machina. Some big dogs in there. So we're going to talk about that and what the hell is going on in the Nordics. What are they drinking? Like,
I know there's something in the water.
Something
in the water there.
Just going nuts.
Also, Snapchat have just done a deal with Perplexity. We'll dig into that.
Breaking.
This is kind of an interesting one. I'm not really sure. I don't know what that means in terms of like how is that gonna. Are people gonna start using Snapchat for a search engine? I don't know. Like, is it?
I feel like Snapchat just wants to get in the game, right? And so
it did absolute wonders for their stock price. I think they had like 400 million or something in a day.
I'm sure it did.
Very cool. But a few other things to cover we'll go over throughout the stream. But I think we're joined live by our first guest. I think Nadir is coming in. Yes, we are live on air. Nadir, how are you doing? Welcome to the European Technology Network, and congratulations on the news.
Thank you very much.
It's probably the biggest amount of money raised we've had on the show. So you are the first to do such a thing. Congratulations. We're super excited to have you on. And we usually start this off by saying what's new, but we all kind of know what's new at the moment. Maybe you could break down, I guess, the raise, but before that, for the viewers at home, what is Armis?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me here, and thanks for the warm wishes of excitement. It's definitely an exciting time for us. Armis is in a 20,000-foot version. It's a cybersecurity company that basically acts like a Google Maps to the organization. It sort of understands all of the landscape, all of the attack surface of the organization, every security tool and everything you have, and brings it all together into a risk model. So it protects some of the biggest companies and agencies around the world, critical infrastructure, things like that. And we're very proud to have come along this way and have the faith of our new investors as well.
You love to hear it.
And that includes, was it Goldman that?
Yes.
Yeah, that led it.
Yeah, they're the newest investor that came in. We actually had quite a few different potential investors, and I think that Goldman were definitely the route to go. So very thankful to them for joining the crew.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
And why specifically was that? What was so attractive about Goldman? Obviously, it is Goldman Sachs, but
yeah, I know. There's also that. I agree. No, there's some other good ones as well on the list. But I would say that we have always wanted to build something big. We've always wanted to build an everlasting company, a generational company, like my co-founder and better half likes to say, and. I think that to us, the next step in the evolution of the company is to go public, likely end of next year or beginning of the year after that. And Goldman Sachs are probably one of the best partners to go ahead and do exactly that. They bring not just money into the mix, but also everything that they are, and not just from a credibility and brand perspective, but all the connections that they have, their leadership experience, and other things that basically help us get to that goal.
Amazing to hear. And what, like, breaking down the raise specifically for a second, 435 million at a 6.1 billion valuation. Why that number? How did you guys come to that? And then what is the plan with the money? This is we're talking about nearly $500 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why this much capital? Why this? Obviously there's like growth plans within there. You mentioned potential IPOs in the future. Can you maybe break down what the plan is with the capital? How you guys will be deploying it at the moment, and I guess what the next 2 years look like for Armis with that cash?
Yeah, of course. First of all, yes, it's a lot of money. No question. Someone put a very, very significant amount of money into this company, and I will say, we're nearly 10 years in with this company, and if you'd asked me 10 years ago if anyone's going to put $500 million nearly on the company, in all fairness, I wouldn't have been able to tell you that's how I thought things would turn out. But the company itself has been growing super rapidly, and we've been keeping a pretty consistent high pace of growth, thanks to also the fact that lots of our customers and partners are just really relying on us to secure some of the most intense environments out there that are always under attack. Now, to us, the growth for Armis, especially over the last couple of years, is a mixture of organic and inorganic, meaning we're building new products that definitely cost money. It costs money to go and sell them. It does the usual loop of things, but it's also inorganic growth. We also have done so far 3 acquisitions of other companies, and the plan is to keep filling out that portfolio. And all of the things I just mentioned require, obviously, cash as well. I will say that we also have very lofty, aggressive goals. I mean, Armis has just crossed the 300 million mark in annual recurring revenue a quarter ago, and we have our sights set on $1 billion in ARR over the next 2-3 years. So again, these are very large amounts, and they require setting up for scale. They require setting up an organization that can manage and handle something like that. So we're building it to last, and that definitely requires money.
Yeah, I want to ask about the 10-year journey, right? Where 10 years is obviously a lot of time, but it's a short enough time where going from founding the company is a very, very different job to what you're, I guess, doing now, right? Yeah. What's that shift been like, and kind of how I don't know, how can you explain to us like how that even looks like in terms of your day and all that kind of stuff?
First of all, it's a very humbling journey. Let's start with that. I think that sometimes to me, especially when we do something like an all-company event or sales kickoff where you're like on stage seeing basically, most of the company, it's kind of crazy to think that nearly 10 years ago, this was, an idea floating around on a couch somewhere. And now, there's nearly 1,000 families that make their living off of something that, was thin air before that. That is a very humbling concept, and it reminds you always that it takes a village, and that getting to where you are takes a lot. But to your point, yeah, my job today and 10 years ago is vastly different, but also in a lot of different ways, a lot of the core elements are still there. I think when I started off, it was a lot of being basically in the code, in the tech. I unfortunately, and I'm dating myself here, but I haven't written code for Armis in probably 6 or 7 years. And I miss it. I got to tell you guys, I used to love that. But in reality, every second not spent these days on just running or managing different aspects of the company is a second wasted. I do think that today, a lot of my job is around more almost architecting the company organizationally in other ways. I think myself and Yevgeny manage things in between us in a very complementary way to each other. We each have our strengths, and we each have our areas of expertise. And I think a lot of the role comes from probably the founder part much more than the CTO part these days.
That's really something you hear quite commonly, right? It sort of transitions into, over time, I guess, more not specifically people management, but like what is the North Star? How can we shape things around it, and how can we make sure that everyone's working towards that North Star? You mentioned just previously, was it 3 acquisitions that you've done so far with Armis? Would love to understand, like, this is, again, a common thing that we see in companies that get to this sort of size slash have this much capital on hand. We're actually seeing it leak into like the pre-seed world at the moment. Like some companies that are raising like 20 to 30 million, like Jack and Jill, for example, they're actually like going on this sort of acqui-hire spree to bring like large bulks of in-house talent into their company. Obviously, yours is on a larger scale. You're acquiring like full-size companies. What is this strategy? Why does Armis need to acquire companies? You know, is this like we're going to use the money to time travel in a way and just like have this problem solved for us immediately, or?
That's a very good question, especially, by the way, in a day and age where building product has become something that is much, much more faster and scalable than ever before. I mean, I think that today most programmers sitting around and kind of writing prompts to an AI versus writing it themselves is very common, and it's much easier to build. So that is a very good question. Why buy it all, or what's the what's the logic behind selecting a particular company over another? So you mentioned one logic, which is really kind of acqui-hiring. So far, we've not done any of those, although there are interesting opportunities in that. And to your point, it's becoming way, way more common to do that very, very early on too. So for us, it's really about from the vision that we have, where are different areas where we believe that accelerating the market or getting to it, let's say a year faster than what we are right now, would be very, very meaningful. That's one. And two, when you build and scale a company, especially to the place where we're at right now and beyond that, I think that culture and DNA matter a lot. You need to maintain an element where, to your point, everybody is aligned on a mission and everything is moving forward, but there's also a fundamental DNA and culture aspect. And I think that bringing in young companies, let's say 2, 3, 4 years old, with people who, that's the mentality they joined, and especially the founders, very strong, hungry founders. Those are people that, like it or not, they're going to inject your organization with more of that energy. And if you can harness it well, you can repeat that process over and over again and kind of reinvigorate, I think, different parts of the organization. And that's not to say that folks at Armis aren't already energetic, but it is to say that there's something about mixing it up, adding very, very talented, hungry founders into the mix, and let them sort of, in a little bit of controlled chaos, change a little bit of how the organization runs inside as well. That's a skill and an important thing that we're trying to maintain as well.
Yeah, running such a large company, there's obviously, like, it's a different art to kind of running a smaller company. And a lot of the things that I think founders who do run larger companies say is you've got to keep that kind of startup and scrappy momentum a little bit, where or workflows and things like that, where it's less bureaucratic and there's less kind of things that need to happen to make decisions actually impact the company. How do you guys navigate that and kind of keep those decisions as close to you guys as possible so you're moving quickly?
That is, wow, you guys are really firing off a really good question. So
I'm putting you on the spot as well, sorry.
Yeah, no, good. This is good, because I got to tell you, I think about that personally quite a bit. Like that question you just asked, and basically the evolution of how management and leadership within companies that grow really fast, how it evolves, is something that I personally think about quite a bit. I will tell you that I've gone through a transformation myself too. I think that when I started Armis, I came from Google, and I remember I loved Google, but I remember it being it was huge even when I left it 10 years ago. But I remember very clearly that it was very big on the company values and the mission and things like that. I was very cynical about that. I looked at that and I was like, company values are one of these things that you put out there just because you need to put something out there, and it doesn't really relate to day to day. But the more we grew, the more you start realizing exactly where those types of things fit in. I think that, to your point, you cannot possibly micromanage the entire company the way that you can when it's a 10, 20 people company, and you can't possibly manage it even by managing the managers the way that you can when it's 100 or 200 people. When it grows beyond that, mission, values, that type of thing has to be very, very clear. But more than clear, it has to be practiced. This is something that has to align very clearly with the day-to-day. It can't be just stuff that you put on a wall and decide that's what you're doing. It has to really, really resonate. But when it does, I think it's huge, because it's almost like what you're doing is you're letting people run and do things themselves, but you're giving them kind of like an alignment matrix. Like you're giving them like all of those micro decisions you're making, where should they point to? And I'd add one more thing, which is not just a buzzword, but something that is truly important: transparency. Transparency within an organization is what keeps that startup energy alive. If people feel that you're not BSing them and you're actually giving them as much as you possibly can, they're willing to accept, by the way, the fact that there's stuff that you can't tell them. But if you're authentic, if you're actually telling them things and they feel like they're a part of that greater whole, they will walk through fire and they will keep that exact mentality and energy of startups. The moment that dissipates, the moment you stop doing like these big town halls and telling them everything that's going on, you start slowly down a route that takes you away from that. If that makes sense.
That's such an awesome answer. I'd love to hear it. There are so many things there that I love, and especially like going back to the culture thing specifically, it sounds like you guys are very aware of the fact that, you know, there was a book, I can't remember whose book it was, You Are What You Do, I think, by Ben Horowitz, but about how culture it's almost like a living organism. It's like something that is breathing and living inside of a company, and it changes as you add more people into it, right? Like
yes.
The addition of, you know, +1 will change the entity that they are joining in some way or form. And it sounds like you guys are, one, super aware of that, and two, like growing, like so conscious and aware of that you're able to like implement values that grow with that. And I like what you said about how it's like this sort of like emotional matrix in which you can, if you're making a micro decision, you can revert back to the values in your mind, and like, you know, like one value be like, do what's best for the company, for example. Okay, I've got a micro decision here. What do? Well, let me think. I'm going to do what's best for the company. Now that's guiding my decision. I love that. That's really cool.
I'd add that if you're immersed in that, if it's not just, to your point, words on a wall, but you actually feel that other people like you are doing that, you will subconsciously do that for the better of the group and for the better of the company. So that's why the whole actually practicing and you are what you do is a really, really important aspect of this.
Insane. That's really cool. More quotation marks, scary and real-time stuff right now. I want to talk about the world that we're living in right now. Cybersecurity is becoming more and more necessary to have this stuff implemented everywhere, right? The attacks are getting more efficient, they're getting smarter, and it seems that you're always in this, like one side improves, then the other side uses those improvements to build a better improvement for like, you know, attacking these softwares, and then vice versa and vice versa. It's like a never-ending game of like defense and attack and defense and attack. Like how, especially in the world of AI that we live in right now, when things are getting a lot more sophisticated, how are you guys managing that, right? Because like this company was started prior to this sort of like homogenous deployment of AI and everything that we do. Yeah, like how are you guys dealing with that?
First of all, you're right that attackers and defenders are constantly in this kind of cat and mouse game. But at the same time, I would say that routinely attackers are taking advantage of new technologies and new edges much more and much faster than defenders do. It's just the nature of the game. They take advantage of it as long as there is such an advantage. And the latest one is AI. We are absolutely seeing at this point full-fledged AI attack platforms that can sort of rattle all the fences all at once. They can take advantage autonomously of different vulnerabilities all at once. And I would say that we're at the heart of that, because if we go back to kind of what I described Armis as kind of like your Google Maps, or this understanding of all of your risks and defenses, that's the battleground. Like we're essentially painting out the battleground that your organization has, the good, the bad, and the ugly in it. Now, an attacking AI, the biggest advantage it has is the ability to attack both machine and human at the same time. Imagine something that rattles defense here, but also then sends something that looks like an alert to one of the defenders, like tries to basically trick the team or do a bunch of things to gain access. That's not science fiction. That is absolutely stuff that's out there. And increasingly, organizations are using that more. Now, that is a scary concept, but I will tell you that the silver lining here is that in the recent 12 months, I think that there's way more adoption of AI within the defense side as well. We are leading that charge, but we're hardly the only ones as well. But I will say that the biggest advantage that defending AI has over an attacking AI in this kind of game is that it has a knowledge advantage. It has a data advantage. It knows intimately, or it should know intimately, all of the weak spots, all of the security tools. It should know that way better than an attacking AI that isn't privy to that information. That's the good news. I think the bad news is that we're still, as an industry, lagging here. I think that it's hard for security teams to give the keys to take action to an autonomous system. Forget even the AI, just automation. It's hard for defenders to do things without having a human in the loop. But that's just something we're all going to collectively have to get over, because the reality is you can't possibly have a team of humans react at the speed and scale of AI in that fashion. And that's something that we've not seen the full force of an attack like that by something like a nation state, as an example, yet. But that's coming. So, yeah.
That's interesting. The probably last question. With everything that's going on with, like, physical devices and people kind of trying to figure out what that next physical device is, it was obviously the kind of smartphone, and now what is that next step, especially with the integration of AI and kind of maybe a no screen type thing. Obviously you guys are working with connected devices, and obviously it's not just consumables, it's kind of medical devices and all that. But what are the, do you have any insight into kind of these companies? Obviously you guys are working with, like, some of the Fortune 500 companies. Are you having that insight and kind of building those that roadmap with them, or not?
So in some cases, yes. I mean, we do work with some of the biggest companies there, both as they being our customers, but also as partners. We have partnerships, pretty high profile ones with the likes of NVIDIA as an example, and other companies like them. But I'll give you an Adir opinion, not like anything else, and it might sound off the hook or completely controversial here, but I'll tell you the following. I think the future is not having a device at all. I think in a world of AI being able to integrate with every aspect of our lives, there's a good question of whether you walking down a street and all the different things that could potentially interact with you, that might be a completely ephemeral concept in general. It might not require you to actually have anything with you, versus being able to just be part of an environment that can almost intuitively perceive you and react to you in a way that I can imagine certain use cases and concepts, but I think it's going to be wild beyond anything that we can imagine right now, just like smartphones and pretty much anything like that was the same before that. So that's my bet as to where this might be going.
Well, we love that. We love that to end on a controversial Hail Mary bet. It's been so fun. Nadir, thank you so much for joining us. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Congratulations again to you and the whole team. It sounds like you're doing amazing work over there, and I'm not sure if you have time for it, but maybe a pat on the back is deserved. Congratulations.
Thank you very, very much for having me, and thank you for all the wishes.
Good stuff.
All the best. Ciao. Really cool.
Awesome.
Wow.
Stuff.
I wanted to ask, like, what's it like seeing like $500 million come into yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, up next we have George Robson at Sequoia coming in after the shake-up in leadership.
Now we're just waiting for producer to...
With George, we're going to be covering a few things. So George actually joined Sequoia at 25 years of age, which is incredibly young to join, one of, if not the leading VC firm.
He's one of the youngest,
in the whole firm. He must have been one of the youngest to ever do it. Youngest to ever do it, maybe the greatest to ever do it.
Ooh,
let's see what he has to say.
We will see.
What he has to say about that. He's also pretty involved in the LSE. So I think he went to LSE. He's pretty involved in the LSE Kickstart motion as well. And I think he has some really good takes for younger people in their careers. What direction should they take? Is it the founder route? Is it the VC route? Is it entrepreneurship guidance in general?
We're going to ask about all that life stuff.
Yeah, we just want to hear it.
All that juice.
We want to hear it. Before we jump into that, I just want to tell you about our boys over there at Fora. It's the workspace to make your everyday extraordinary. Work from home at work, private offices, whole floors, or dedicated desk. Fora offers workspace solutions for teams of all sizes.
Nice one.
Checking now. I think we have George in the studio.
Video.
We just need to. George, can you hear me? You can hear me and you can see me. We aren't live on air right now with you. We just need you to join. There's another link in the in the calendar invite that will project you to our lovely viewers at home. If you can join that as well. Sorry. Instructions may have been slightly unclear. Our end, that is my fault. A public apology to George. We are, but we're about to get cooking live on stream, which is great news for everyone.
You think he's going to like rage quit because you
What, George is going to rage quit on us? I hope you're not, George.
like game over. You've lost your chance.
Oh, that's lovely news.
Appreciate it.
We're getting feedback from our amazing producer. She'll give us a thumbs up when we are good to go. It should be a video in Riverside on your.
Let us know when you've joined both. And
okay, we're getting word from George that he has got it. We're
getting
taking varying glances from our producer Orla to get the confirmation.
Oh, here we go. We're in.
It's a green light over here from Orla, and I think we're about
to give you the countdown.
Live
3,
on air
2,
by George over at Sequoia. And I think we are in.
Yeah, we're live.
George, we are live on the European Technology Network. Thank you for bearing with us as we experience some minor technical difficulties. George, what a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. We are first Sequoia guest.
Yeah.
First guest from Sequoia.
Amazing. Well, I'm actually grateful for that. Excited to hear it. And honestly, thank you for having me. This work is incredibly important. So
we appreciate that. No, the pleasure is all ours, George. There is so much that we want to jump into. I know we had this conversation booked in prior to this news coming out, but Luke and I thought it'd be a good opportunity just to ask, we saw the news, we saw the new leadership. Congratulations on bringing in 2 new stewards. We'd love to hear, what is the breakdown of the news? We read the piece that was put out from Sequoia on Twitter the other day. Would love to get your take and I guess what the plan is looking forward.
Yeah, of course, happy to share. For those who don't know, Rudolph both, after 23 years of obviously being at Sequoia, running our US Europe business for 8 or 9 years, decided, it's time for the next transition, right? Sequoia's actually done this a couple of times. The firm was founded in 1972 by Don Valentine. We had Michael Moritz, Doug Leone, Jim Getz, Rudolph, and now handing over to 2 of our OG partners in Alfred Lin and Pat Grady.
Awesome.
And it's the end of a pretty important chapter, right? Over running that business for the last few years, where Rudolph's been running our US Europe operation. We distributed $52 billion to investors in and around the Sequoia funds, which is a remarkable stat.
Yeah, that's mental.
We're going into 2 people that have been at Sequoia, both of them 15 years plus. Both of them generated over $10 billion in gains individually themselves, which are incredible numbers. I think they speak to exactly the same culture of excellence as something like Rudolph. But Rudolph had a huge impact. Honestly, on myself. When I was coming out of Revolut, I was actually going out to found a company who was closing its funding round. And it was really a lot of Rudolph's input that sort of educated me on why that was not the right business, and ultimately educated me on why coming to Sequoia was going to be an important opportunity for me. So, I'm excited for the future for him. I'm excited for the future of Sequoia. But it's a pretty significant one.
That's awesome. Let's go. Sean McGuire put on Twitter, how he's been influenced by Rudolph as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about the influence? Obviously, that major advice to come and join Sequoia. What was his kind of impact with the team, and how did he kind of sit within the team and kind of give advice to all of the partners?
Yeah, honestly, I think the inputs are more interesting than the outputs. I think the outputs are the Sequoia Capital Fund is obviously an initiative that he spearheaded, right? This evergreen fund structure we have at Sequoia. But honestly, the inputs are more important, I think, day to day. I think one is he has a true culture of excellence, right? You see it in how he communicates, you see it in how precise he is in his thinking. I think you see it actually in the diversity of boards that he sits on. Rudolph is really a true polymath. I think Sean actually, he's actually ironically also in that camp, as you mentioned. But if you look at Rudolph's portfolio, being able to invest across open source infrastructure, MongoDB, consumer and B2B financial services, Block, life sciences and healthcare in companies like Natera, Unity, right? Incredible, in mobile gaming. but also like consumer social. I mean, people who have that kind of range to go from the full expanse of, trying to cure cancer into something like Instagram and YouTube is pretty unique. And I think when you see investors like that, it's pretty inspiring, right? Because it forces you to think about how you reinvent yourself across different technology cycles. So I think that's the most important thing I take away from it, is just that culture for excellence and really pushing you to be curious and try and be a better man.
That's so cool. You mentioned your joining story with Sequoia. We were just talking about it then. 25 years old, was it?
Yeah, I was a wee nipper. Yeah, that's right. I was coming out. I think it was and it was pretty significant because if I look at my life, honestly, I had a couple of pretty lucky breaks. I think one of the most important things for me really that led into Revolut was I co-founded this accelerator with some friends at university called Kickstart, which really just started around this idea of bringing people who are interested in technology in London together. And I was on a panel representing that when I was graduating, and Revolut was on that panel when it was a pre-seed company. And that was how I first kind of intersected with the business and met some of the team. And that kind of set my life on I guess, on that trajectory. And it was similar for me coming out of Revolut. I knew I wanted to do something different, right? Revolut was at a scale where maybe I wanted to go and try a new challenge. And as I said, I was fundraising for a company that was not even in financial services. It was very much in healthcare. And to go back to Rudolph, it was kind of typical. He was able to speak across both topics, right? And come in very informed around that company. And I joined Sequoia, as you said, so 25 years old, the middle of COVID. We had my wonderful partner, Luciana, who leads our European business, co-runs our venture business. But because of this weird twist of fate, of notice periods and the like, was the first person to start. So it was me in my bedroom in Wapping. I'd never even angel invested in a company. I'd never actually met anyone in person from Sequoia, because of course you couldn't, because the borders were closed. So it felt like quite a profound moment. And I knew it was going to be a pretty aggressive period of education and everything else. But I felt I was kind of built for it, having gone through it once with Revolut. And yeah, here I am 5 years later.
That's so awesome.
25.
What a great story.
I'd be so nervous going into Sequoia at 25. Don't know why.
The thing I really appreciate about it, that was actually important for me, because remember, I hadn't even been thinking about venture. It was effectively the only interview I did, right, for a venture firm.
Nuts.
So I didn't have all this pre-baked knowledge of even things like how rounds were structured and things like that. All I knew, I wanted to have a pretty clear social contract, right, with people that I was in business with, meaning we made basically 2 or 3 investments per partner per year. So you really need to love the company, right? Because you're effectively putting your neck on the line when you go out and say, this is one of my 10 or 15 decisions that's going to define my career. I love that. I love the surface area of it, because we can basically invest as Sequoia in any company, any sector, any stage, right? We can do 500K pre-seed investments, $1 billion, very high conviction investments in true growth stage companies. So the waterfront is very, very broad. And those 2 points kind of tie together, because really the mission statement is just go out and find people that you think can build these revolutionary companies. And I think everybody would sort of say that that's what they love to go and find and love to go and achieve. But having those, no limitations, right, in what that might look like, where they may come from, is actually pretty liberating.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's dive into the $950 million of new funds.
Maybe a quick round of applause as well.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
Let's go.
Obviously, you say that you guys can invest like very kind of small tickets to kind of really large tickets. How do you kind of sit in that, and like what's your focus right now? You're kind of European like focused in terms of geographically, right? But size-wise, where are you sitting?
Yeah, so I think a few quick pieces. So one, you're exactly right. We have a dedicated seed fund, $180 million. The remainder, I think it's 650 or something, is in the venture fund. I think a few things to call out. So one, Sequoia started as a seed firm. Actually, seed investing is like very much the core of our business. The majority of our net new investments actually are at seed and pre-seed. And the way we think about our business is we want to find people as early as we can, be in business for as long as we can, and we can do that under this structure now of being an evergreen fund. So kind of point one. I think point two is, I'm based in London. We have 4 partners here in London. We have a pretty small team. I think it's 24-ish, something like that. Total investors at Sequoia across US, Europe, and Israel. So that group is, sufficiently sized that actually we have to work as a team to make sure we cover that geography. So even though I'm based here, I spend the majority of my time focused on European entrepreneurs. Probably 40%-ish of the companies I partner with are in the States. And many of those are actually founded by Europeans who built a company here. Maybe they moved to New York City or something like that. Think about balancing the bit of market. So we are, I would say, pretty geography agnostic. But the reason for that is, we just want to recognize and frankly pay respect to the fact that different types of companies come from different types of ecosystems, right? So sometimes the reality is a wonderful business building a defense company out of Estonia. It may be the case that like one of my partners based in San Francisco is the best person to really partner with that entrepreneur. entrepreneur. So we are like unopinionated about it in that way, if you like. And then, yeah, you're right. We go pretty early. I would say, we're even going as early as doing incubations, right, with entrepreneurs who we think are exceptional, coming out of these aircraft carrier companies, trying to build the next company. We're investing in a bunch of first-time founders. We have this program called ARC, as you may know, that helps them make that first step into being an entrepreneur. So we have all these different structures, but it starts with, I would say, seed investing, and we have these follow-on funds, and we can sort of deepen that relationship.
Yeah, especially with like AI valuations kind of just going absolutely like nuts. Are you guys seeing yourselves kind of going earlier and earlier into the stack then?
I think it's about, honestly, I mean, as you say, the market is intense, right? As an entrepreneur, in many ways, it's never been a better time. It's definitely a more stressful time. I think there's a sense among many entrepreneurs that the goalposts keep shifting, right? In terms of the level of commercial validation you think you need to really feel like you're top of your game. Obviously, even the ways that entrepreneurs have to build the businesses, right? The way they structure their teams, new functions they have to hire for, new processes they can use with AI, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of what we're doing, I would say actually, like the advantage of doing it earlier is you can help sort of surround these founders rather with this tribal knowledge of just what is happening across the portfolio to help them be successful. So I think that's the thing where you can sort of bend the arc of these companies in some way. I think being early is important as well because the market is constantly changing. And generally what we want to do is help entrepreneurs find a market that deserves them, right? We invest and partner with exceptional people. We want to make sure that we're pointing towards a problem that will endure. And we're doing it with an insight that is crisp enough that we have this unfair opportunity to really open the market.
Yeah. And you mentioned, we've been talking about early stage, we've been talking about as early as you can go in the stack. Kickstart, I would love to, for the viewers at home, what is Kickstart? How did you come to found it? And I didn't know that you'd founded that. I know what it is, but I didn't know that you were the founder, which is amazing. Can you explain what it is, what it's about, and like how it's grown over the last, I guess, 5 years, is it?
Yeah, happily. And no, actually, fun fact. So me and a few university friends, honestly, an exceptional group of people, we co-founded it when we were at university. I think it was obviously a slightly different time. This was like 2014, 2015 in London, where there were obviously startups that were successful here, but I'd say the sort of ethos around entrepreneurship, particularly among university students, wasn't always there. And I felt in particular, I studied at the London School of Economics, it was definitely not present at LSE, right? It was definitely the case that people wanted to go into traditional financial services and consulting, etc. So part of the insight, honestly, was that London is kind of a remarkable place because you have a bunch of, let's say, relatively single faculty universities who are really good at one or two things. But as you know, to build a generational company, you need these very diverse skill sets under one roof. So it started with an insight of, hey, can you pull in students from LSE, from Imperial, UCL, King's, Central St. Martin's, all of which have these different domain expertise, and help them form companies and bring them through a program that helps them understand it. And I think that that is actually still the ethos today. Fun fact, it's a non-profit. It is still student run, right? We still have community dinners. They're actually launching a hacker house in London where people will spend a couple of months working under the same roof building these companies. But that philosophy is the same of these like European wonder kids often that are kind of coming out and taking that first leap and trying to be that acceptable first step. I think what is important, the ecosystem around it, the wider venture community, the seed ecosystem has really evolved. Right since then, there are many more funds. People like ourselves are here running programs like ARC to kind of take the baton, right, when they come out of these programs. But yeah, it's very cool. And as I said, it changed my life, right, because I met Revolut through that program and everything else followed.
Yeah, when we secured this interview, I really wanted to ask a pretty general question, but I think you're really good to answer it. What do you see is the delta in company building, main thing you're seeing right now?
And you mean US versus Europe? You mean now versus 5 years ago?
Now versus 5 years ago. What's the delta that you're seeing founders 5 years ago to now that are winning?
Yeah, I think. So it obviously depends a little bit on the sector, but I'll generalize a couple of pieces. So one, you can do more with less today if you know how to take advantage of these AI tools. In some ways, AI is not a universal opportunity, right? In that it probably makes the best people in a given market even better. But if you don't respond to some of those new best practices or new technologies, the risk is actually the delta increases, right? You get left behind in a meaningful way. So I think that's piece one. It actually puts a lot of pressure and expectation for you to build that entrepreneurial culture inside the company. And you see it actually in some of our boards where we're effectively tracking usage of key types of tools in key functions and how many people are weekly active users of these products and what the productivity gain may be. And if you don't set that culture from the top down, I think it's very challenging. So that's like piece one. I think piece two, in certain markets, there is such a gold rush at the moment around some of these categories. You can have many businesses formed around the same point in time. And you've got to think very carefully about how to rise above that noise, right? You rise above it for your customers, for people you want to recruit into the business, and ultimately, for investors as well. What it means is you have these case studies now of like entrepreneurs finding a way to tell the story of what they're doing to sort of raise the profile of their company, communicate that there is momentum inside the building to kind of virtue signal that, to those three different stakeholders. And that's a core competency that maybe was always valuable in some shape or form, but I would actually argue in today's world is even more valuable if you can do it in a way that is authentic, right? We hear a lot of coverage about people like Anton from Lovable, who did a great job with it. You have open source projects. I'm on the board of a company called N8N. In N8N's case, just seeing the explosion in GitHub stars and seeing what that does, bringing people into that nexus. But I think finding a way to sort of tell your piece and say it authentically is something that is much, much more important in today's world. And then, I think finally, it's always been true that you need to think about the success of your business over different acts of the company. Revolut's case, we were a travel card and a bank account and saving and investing, and then today financial super app. But the other thing that is challenging around telling that vision is the market is very non-stationary at the moment. You don't always know whether your market opportunity will exist in 3 or 4 years' time. So actually being something of a philosopher, right, and not just thinking about the company as it is today working forwards, but actually thinking about your own vision, kind of working backwards, and for each of those different unlocks and how the technology will change those unlocks, I think is very important, because there are many great businesses that may be succeeding today, but that market opportunity may not exist tomorrow, and vice versa as well.
Wow, nice words of wisdom. I'd love to sort of round off with something that we I guess the reason that we exist in part is to try and do what we can to bring amazing people like you onto the show and share your wisdom and experiences with the audience, with the world, but also with the next generation of founding talent that is going to sort of help Europe grow and strive and prosper. What is, let's just say we've got an 18-year-old girl and boy sat there at home, or I guess maybe 16-year-old now, as people are getting younger and younger and starting companies earlier and earlier. What is your advice for them, right? Maybe they've just come out of university, maybe they're not even at university yet, maybe they're thinking about dropping out. Do they go straight into company building? Do they try and get some experience in VC? Do they try and fail as early as possible and keep failing until they win? Do they go to university and get a degree and get some real world experience? What is the path?
Yeah, I think so. They definitely don't go into VC. So I'll just corner that one. So point one. But I think the more important thing, if I reflect on myself, and I have sort of immense frustration at my education and childhood and things like that, because I didn't get a sense that firstly technology was at the core of that journey. And I think being truly intellectually curious around these technologies and building a capacity to sort of see how a technology changes, integrate it into your processes, benefit from it, I think that's mission critical to point one. I think point two actually is just have agency in the projects that you're working on, because some people will choose, for reasons that I understand, when you're that young, you want to have a blue chip CV because it feels very naked, right? You want to work for a company that people have heard of. The reality is, in many of these organizations, you don't have any agency or control or direct input yourself. So you'd be much better off working in a smaller organization with an entrepreneur or someone that you really, really admire, that you can observe and learn from. And it doesn't mean necessarily you have to have founded the business, right? I think observing greatness is probably the first step, right, to being able to do something productive yourself in the future. So I think if you can nail those two things, I think that's important. And then, finally, there's kind of this notion that honestly I only began to appreciate in the last couple of years. Sean, actually, who you mentioned, was a big input for this for me. You need to become a student of industry, right? In understanding truly how these successful businesses were built is really important. And I mean a level deeper than just understanding they released this product on this date and this happened. You need to really understand where did the comparative advantage for that company come from? How long did it take to be built? What were the inputs into those different characteristics? And there are there's materials and books and podcasts and things that help you do that. But becoming a true student of industry in an area you're passionate about is incredibly important.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
And we're fresh out of time.
Thank you, gentlemen.
It's fortunate. It flies when you're having fun.
Thank you so much for coming on and spending the time with us. Obviously, open seat whenever you want to come on. I think we could chat for hours about kind of what's going on, what you're looking at, and everything. So, if you ever want to come on, shoot us a message, and
you'll see me again. I appreciate your time and all the hard work. This is awesome.
I appreciate it, George. We appreciate you.
Great to meet you.
Thanks, gentlemen. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Very sick. I mean, like, bit of a slight breather, back-to-back guests. Earlier than we usually start. You love to see it. Things heating up.
I want to just while we're on Sequoia,
we're on the Sequoia,
and Roloff and whatever. I want to read Sean Maguire's tweet, or do you want to get it up?
Yeah, do we have it?
We have it. Yeah.
Very nice. This.
Have you found it?
Yeah. Or can we pull this one up for this stream?
It's being, because I think it just sums it up quite nicely.
Yeah. We got that live, yeah. Sequoia distributed over 50 billion, while Roloff was the steward running Sequoia US since 2017. One of the first things Roloff coached me on when I joined Sequoia was to look at each fund's write-off rate. Any fund with a write-off rate below 40% wasn't taking enough risk. This is quote tweeting Scott Kapoor. You love to see the risk embrace.
Yeah, I mean, pre-seed investing and early investing obviously is like incredibly risky, right? And they are. It's just nice. It's just nice that he's obviously very outspoken on Twitter and stuff, and says what he thinks, regardless of what other people think.
Yeah.
And I think it was a nice like little kickback from what he was quote retweeting. It was basically saying like, this guy just gets like the risk involved, and the fact that they're going earlier and earlier into the stack is just accepting more risk. And more problems that they're going to have to deal with each company that they invest in. So exciting stuff, and pretty awesome to talk to George.
Yeah, so good. Love how like the first piece of advice he was like, do not join VC. Coming from
don't join VC yet.
VC. Very funny.
Just hold off.
And yeah, okay. So there's so much news to jump into. I kind of want to touch on where is it now?
While you're looking for that, I want to give you something about C-Point, your startup financial home, your business. Get back control of your finances with C-Point, a business account that handles invoice payments, expenses, payroll, and reporting. Go to cpoint.co. They are smashing it over there.
Love it. It's the Palantir shares take a dip. Michael Burry opens big short position. This is doing the rounds at the moment. So this guy, like, obviously, broken clock is right twice a day. Michael Burry is Michael Burry, famous, big short film, famously made a load of cash on the financial crash in 2008. But he had, this has happened before, where he opened a really large, and let me see if I can get up the initial tweet that he's put out at the moment, or if we could pull this one up as well, that'd be awesome. He's done this before. So he did this back during the GME hype, when things were just going nuts. I think we spoke about this before on stream, where I was at university, anything that was like a lithium-ion battery penny stock on Trading 212, you just throw any money you had it, and you'd wake up and it'd be like $1,000. It was actually nuts. Literally just like in the casino gambling, basically. But he put a tweet out there when things were going nuts. It's one of the bull markets, and I think he made a public. I think it was a tweet about how he was opening like a massive short position on Tesla, and he didn't miss, I don't think, but I think he was pretty early. I mean, I foolishly.
Well, he's made bets before where he's missed, like the fact that he, obviously very well that he shorted the housing market, whatever, and whatever. But he misses, right? But it's just crazy that one person has such an effect. I mean,
I think the film helps.
Yeah. I think it's also so jokes that he just uses the meme of who's the actor that plays him? I can't remember. But he uses
what's his name?
He uses that meme all the time, and if it was him, it's basically plastered everywhere. He'd have.
Yeah. I mean, he's using his own. I love to. Sometimes we see bubbles. Sometimes there is something to do about it. Sometimes the only winning move is not to play.
Someone replied and was just like, what does that even mean, bro?
I mean, he just wants to debate. I mean, he's kind of not following his own advice, right? He's saying not to play, as in just don't step in, just stand off, maybe hold a large cash position. We're seeing that Berkshire Hathaway has I think they're holding the largest cash position they've ever held forever, and over the past 5 years, they've been constantly selling off to maintain that. But you know, he's giving this like not advice, obviously, but he's put this meme out. But he's just gone ahead straight away and just started playing. You know, he's opened up like a massive short position on Palantir, and I think on Tesla again. I can't remember what the other one was, but if we can get up like another tweet, I'd like to share just on off the back of this one. He did this, and then like 2 days later, we saw Palantir shares drop 8%.
Yeah, 7%.
So it's like people gave him a bit of shit at first, then he kind of, I don't know, aura farmed as usual. I mean, this tweet alone has 14.3 million views. It's got 43,000 likes. It's got 5.2 thousand bookmarks. Like, that's insane. But the other one I wanted to share was just like the response from everyone saying, yeah, he's winning.
I love how Carp, Carp told CNBC, the idea that chips and ontology are the ones you want to short is batshit crazy. I do believe this behavior is egregious, whatever that is, and I'm going to be dancing around when it's proven wrong.
So he's
like slapping back.
Yeah, he's like a
Classic
super
Alex Carp.
energetic, super like FU type founder, like, but he loves to win. I think that's really cool. I think there's nothing wrong with his energy.
Winning.
You know, we saw it like that viral video that went out on the earnings call where he's just sort of like, he's doing a victory lap basically on the earnings call because they smashed it. But I like this. I'm here for this. I think we need more of this. You know, it kind of adds to this like drama type. You know, it's kind of reminiscent of the Musk and the Sama beef. Like, I'm here for more tech celebrity beef. Yeah, a bit more beef on the timeline. It adds, makes for good memes as well.
Yeah, it's good. So next on the show we have Lars Rasmussen. He was founder of Google Maps, or is founder of Google Maps, and he's also the founder of Panathenea. Just let's.
He also has a smile that can melt your heart.
Yeah, lovely guy. We met him the other day. Absolute beast. Such a dude. But he's running an event in Athens in May. He's obviously going to talk a little bit about that, which is cool. And it's almost like the Olympics of tech and innovation.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he'll obviously say in his own words what it is, way better than I will. But when we spoke to him, he kind of blew me away with like his ability to narrate like the story around how he's building and why he's building, and I think that's really, really exciting.
I think we have Lars.
So yeah, is he in the show?
I think he might be in. Yeah, Lars. I think you are.
Yeah. No way. Is that real backdrop?
We've got Lars in the studio. You are live on the European Technology Network. Lars, how are we? You're joking. This is real. This is the real backdrop, Lars.
This is a real time. Yes.
I think this is the most gangster backdrop we've ever had on the European.
This is real.
Is that?
I'm Gen AI, but that's real.
Is that the Parthenon, Lars?
That is in fact the Parthenon. Yes.
Let's get the Panathenea. Luke, pass me that cap immediately, please. I don't know what I'm doing, Lars. Please forgive my manners, Lars.
All good. Oh, EU Inc. I'm a big fan.
Okay, good. At least you're a big fan. But let me get my Panathenea merch on there. Wow, what a moment for the ETN, for the European Technology Network. Lars, welcome to the show. It's so good to have you live. We've been waiting for this moment ever since we had our coffee a few weeks back. Where do we even begin? There's so much to jump into. Lars, what's new? What's going on in your world?
Well, lots of things. So, I mean, we're building Panathenea 2.0. Almost 6 months away. I can't wait. This actually could be your studio if when you're going to come and broadcast.
Let's do it.
From Panathenea.
Way. Okay, this Lars, we're breaking the news live right now that we will be live streaming at Panathenea. We're gonna put something out, I think, later today. And I think maybe just a quick round of applause for everyone. We'll be live streaming Panathenea. We cannot wait. Lars, if you can make that our backdrop, I think we'll break viewership records.
I think so.
I think we should. I should probably explain what it is, though. It's not clear all of your viewers today now.
Yeah, maybe you can break it down. What is Panathenea? I know that we've not stopped telling everyone about it. So
nice.
Please, we'd love to hear it from.
By the way, likewise. Whenever we pitched come speak at Panathenea. Oh, and also go on ETN. But look, so we're trying to build the world's best innovation festival, not just in technology, but in technology and culture and sports. Like, the Olympic Games, the world's biggest sporting festival by far, is a modern version of an ancient Greek festival. And it turns out that ancient Greece also had the original innovation festival, startup conference, if you like. And it was called Panathenea. It lasted for 1,000 years. And at the height of it, it was a 12-day festival right here in Athens, where people came from all over the Greek world, which was pretty much the whole world. People came from India, from Asia Minor, from Northern Africa, from Spain, Northern Europe, for a 12-day festival in Athens that was mostly organized around competitions, but in everything, in technology, in craftsmanship, in engineering, in mathematics, and philosophy. They had poetry competitions, theater, music. They had boat races down in the port, foot races, chariot races, wrestling matches. So it really spanned all of human endeavor, technology, culture, sports. And these competitions, they call it Amila, was held in the spirit not just of glory for the winner, but to raise everyone's lot by finding the best new thing. Like, everyone would go away and invent the best boats, the best music, the best aqueducts, whatever you're working on. And then every 4 years, it was back then, they come together for Panathenea in Athens, and through competitions discover their future. And it's all done, by the way, in honor of the goddess of wisdom, Athena. It's her temple hovering above me here. She is also the patron goddess of Athens. And on the 12th day of Panathenea, they had a really big party. I think the biggest, most beloved party in the ancient world was on the 12th day of Panathenea. Some historians, myself included, like to think of it as the birthday of the goddess. And like the night before, all the young people in Athens, they went to the top of the Acropolis, they danced all night. And then on the morning of her birthday, this boat arrived with a veil. They call it a peplos, woven from a single piece of cloth. They spend a whole year making this thing. They put the peplos on a chariot, and then the whole town, everyone who had come, formed a big procession behind. Like, think Rio Carnival that snaked its way through ancient Athens, ended up on top of the Acropolis, where they had a ceremony. They put the peplos on the goddess. There was a big statue inside the temple, and then they feasted all night. Very famously, they sacrificed 100 oxen for that feast. Wow. We will not bring that back, I promise. A little for today as well. But this party alone, that was just the 12th day of the ancient festival. It was so popular that it's actually depicted on the temple. Like, Panathenea, the festival, started 100 years before they built that amazing temple behind me. And when they built this one, they put a section of the frieze that procession is depicted there. And Greece is reimagining Panathenea, making it a modern festival of innovation and creativity. Again, it'll span technology and culture and sports. And then we've done it. You guys are going to Slush in a few weeks, right?
We are. Yeah, we will be there. We'll be streaming live.
Amazing. And so we have borrowed from our Finnish brothers and sisters the idea that this festival should be built by the youngest Greeks. And so the entire organizing team, from the CEO on down, are in their early 20s. They're students and new grads, ridiculously talented. And like this past May was our first event in this new series. It was a blast. We had 3,500 people signed up for tickets from 44 different countries. We had the founders of Canva, Mel and Cliff, beamed in from Sydney, Australia. We had OpenAI, we had Tom Wolfe from Hugging Face, we had Google's DeepMind, we had 11 Labs. We even had Kesha, the American pop singer. She came and announced her new startup on the inaugural Panathenea stage from London, where you guys are. Naomi Harris, Oscar-nominated actress. She came and spoke about the new startup that she's building. And then, of course, in the end, a massive party. I mean, this was a small first event. We had 6,000 people came to the party, which we opened to the whole city, of course. And that entire thing was built by a team of just 5 22-year-olds in 5 months. Just crazy. And I mean, the buzz, it was amazing. I'm getting goosebumps. And Panathenea 2.0, we're going to try and make it bolder, better, bigger. And you can't see it on the shot, but it's actually just across the street here, down below the Acropolis. Actually, in the venue where the modern Olympics started in 1896. we're going to do Panathenia 2.0. And again, it's going to be a startup conference, very much in the spirit that we've learned from Slush, where the focus is 100% helping the founders like yourselves that are going to build a better tomorrow. We're going to have our first distinct cultural event, and we may even, this is a bit of a stretch goal, we may even have our first sports competitions, which of course is going to be kite surfing. So everyone knows that kite surfing is to tech what golfing used to be for bankers, and we'll see if we can pull it off. I'm not making any promises, but I think the best part is going to be that you guys are going to come and cover it with your.
No. Well, we appreciate the
You're too
kind
kind,
words.
Miles. You're too kind to us. I mean, look, there's so much to dig into there. I think the headline is whoever's not going to be at this event, you should probably try and get down. It just sounds incredible, right? You'll have the sun. You will be in beautiful Athens, non-stop, amazing people, founders, CEOs, operators, execs talking about technology, and then we get to finish the whole day off with a street party.
Where and
excited about.
Where and when can people get tickets, and where can we send people?
We just open up ticket sales. It's in panathenia.org. And next year, it's going to be the last week of May, from the 27th, which is a Wednesday, till the 29th, which is a Friday. And of course, after Panathenia proper here in Athens, we're all going to go play on the islands, on the water. I'm going to take people to that kite surfing competition, 2 hours drive from here. And look, part of it is that Greece is such an amazing place to visit, even without Panathenia, right? And now we're bringing this ridiculously valuable bit of history back into the modern world with a team of crazy talented young organizers. And it's going to be a blast. Look, I think we have the potential here. And I say we, I mean all of Europe, to really build a gathering point for the whole continent, maybe even for the whole world, just like it used to be. And you can probably tell I'm excited. In fact, I haven't taken my wristband off from Panathenia 1.0. Like, this will come off when it falls off. And I'm thinking maybe make it a tattoo when that happens. I'm not sure. The team has to promise to change the face.
So in like 10 years, whatever, you're gonna have like 10 of these, just like, because I reckon that
sleeve.
yeah,
Like a tattoo.
that's not coming off for a few years at least.
Yeah.
What do you think? We could do a little thing where if other people tattoo a wristband with Panathenia, they get free access. What do you think?
I think Luke would be keen to do that.
Yeah, it's empty now, but it's
Luke needs to
have a tattoo.
Luke needs to get
Sorry to my
up.
family and friends. And girlfriend.
So cool, Lars. So much like Panathenia. We're excited about it. Everyone's excited about it. We can't wait to do this. We'd love to also talk about Google Maps and the founding story as well, if we have time, if we can.
Well, no, after Panathenia, that does happen to be my favorite story. And so, yes, I'm okay with that. It happened a long time ago. I'm actually a lot older than I look. And and so look, it started back there was a crazy .com bubble that burst and the NASDAQ was crashing and everyone was laying people off. And I was working for a startup. So straight out of school, I have a PhD from UC Berkeley, and I joined this startup along with my brother, and this thing died in the crash and we got laid off. And it was actually my brother's idea. So he's a college dropout. I have a PhD. You can tell he's much smarter than me. And it was all his idea, like the status quo of maps on the internet back then. In the US, there was MapQuest. I think you had Multimaps there in the UK. And it was like a small, hard to read map with a bunch of text around it. And my brother's idea was super simple. Hey, let's make the map bigger and prettier and faster, and then we can put all the information on the map, and you can like interact with markers and click and so on. He had some super simple ideas for how to achieve that with the technology available 25 years ago, and the two of us set out to work on it. It was just us. We had no money. We were convinced we were going to be rich in the .com bubble, of course, so we hadn't saved up any money. And so I was like in a shared room in a big house in Berkeley. Jens moved back in with my mom in Copenhagen. He hates that part of the story. And then we wrote this prototype, and no one was investing. Everyone had lost all their money. And there was no such thing as an angel investor, which is kind of my job today. And we just couldn't raise money. We managed to get two friends from Australia, of all places, involved in this. We did a lot of the prototyping out of a spare bedroom in Sydney, Australia. And then after a year and a bit, things mellowed out a little after the crash. We went back to California. We started pitching this very good friend of mine, Frank Marshall. He was like the one person that believed in us enough to open doors with the VC on Sand Hill Road. And we started getting traction with one of the big players, like a really big player. I had help from Google, Yahoo, Apple, still around, still an amazing, amazing world-class top leading firm. And they got interested, and we proceeded through their funnels. We did meeting after meetings. We did more and more demos, and we got to the point. I think they said we were like at the 70% point in their funnel, where we were sort of getting close to maybe signing a term sheet. And right then, like literally the day before that was supposed to happen, Yahoo was still a big player back then, launched a small change to a map site that they hadn't touched in 4 years. And although it was nothing like what we were building, it still persuaded the investor. Then they, by the way, very famously made all decisions by consensus over their 12 partners. And so it just took one person to kill the deal, which is what happened.
Wow.
And then, as it goes, I called my mom back in Denmark in tears when this deal fell apart. And she said, it's happening because there's something better waiting for you. And 3 days later, we were in front of Larry Page, and we pitched him that Google should buy this prototype, almost ready to launch. And he did. They did. And so then our little thing was called Where To Maps. Where To Technology, sorry, where the 2 was spelled with a number, which we thought was super clever. And Google bought it, and we spent maybe 6 months turning our maps into Google Maps, and we launched it. And it's been by far my biggest success, my brother's biggest success. I think 2-3 billion people use it every month. They don't really announce those numbers anymore, but like I can travel pretty much anywhere in the world now. And typically I have a friend let it slip that I was part of starting Google Maps, and then someone always has a story of how they got lost because of me, which is it's amazing. Like almost everywhere in the world.
That is so awesome. We were joking when we met you for coffee in London that you sent a Google Maps link, and we thought that is just pretty awesome because every time you go on Google Maps, you're just like I did this.
Yeah. You're like, hey, use this thing I built.
Yeah, exactly. I want to touch on.
When I send someone to Google Maps, I always have this angst in me that it's going to be that one place that Google can't find.
What Gales in London? I'm pretty sure you're okay with us.
That's true. That's fine.
I want to touch on that literal legendary story, and the thing that you built was is legendary in so many. It's an integral part of life, to be honest. Now, for everyone, really. What did you learn from that legendary story that you're bringing into Panathenia in more of a we're about to talk to a partner at Point 9 about the artistic endeavor of building companies, and that building companies is artistic. What are you bringing to kind of build Panathenia that you've learned from your kind of journey that's literally legendary?
Well, so first of all, thanks for using that word. That's very kind of you. And secondly, yes, there's a lot of things to learn from this. And I think the primary thing, and by the way, so I'm here in Greece in Athens, which has a young but incredibly vibrant and hungry ecosystem of young people wanting to change the world. Greece went through a terrible economic crisis, and it's actually really shook loose a bunch of amazing creativity. And not that I would wish a crisis like that on anyone, but you have to take your hat off for Greece, how well they, they're saying you should never let a good crisis go to waste. And so it's an exciting place. And in fact, we built Google Maps in Sydney, Australia, mostly back, 15, 20 years ago, when the Sydney ecosystem was about the same stage as Athens is now. And I don't know if you know this, but I'm an angel investor. One of my first investments was Canva down in Australia. And I feel like that's the stage Athens is at as an ecosystem. There, maybe the Greek Canva, like the first decacorn, has already been started, just hasn't reached that level yet. But the thing I think I can offer young ecosystem, one of them is just the following observation, that most people can do a lot more than they think they can do. And most people are held back by a fear of going beyond the comfort zone, right? The stuff that you're confident you can do, it turns out you can do a lot more than that. And I think it's interesting. So our first motivation in building a big international technology festival here in Athens is we've seen in Lisbon and of course in Helsinki with Slush how that can really help accelerate the local ecosystem. But I actually think of all the countries, certainly in Europe and maybe in the world, when it comes to building like a kind of festival that has never seen before, Greece has the most potential. For a lot of different reasons. One is, of course, this incredibly valuable bit of history that no one has. The other thing is we spoke about people love coming here anyway. But the third thing is this incredible hunger for success, for making a difference in the world, for success international and nationally here that is like infused in the young people here. And I think the only potentially missing ingredients is for the whole country to really believe something that bold, that big is possible. And a lot of times, actually, that's really the difference between success or failure. Someone, I think it may have been Ford, famously said, right, that for a lot of things, if you think you cannot do it, or you think you can do it, you are right in both cases. That the missing ingredients often is that belief, that pathological optimism that, yes, of course you can build the biggest festival in the world. And of course, we're hoping that this will rub off on all the young entrepreneurs, and we're hoping the fact that Panathenia is built by young people fresh out of school, even some of our full-time organizers. So in fact, we're organizing Panathenia, right? I'm helping as a mentor, and suddenly someone gets up and says, hey guys, I have to leave the meeting. I need to go take an exam. And they come back 2 hours later, how did the exam go? And they're like, I don't remember. That was 2 hours ago. Let's get back to work. And just mad stuff, right? And we've seen how that's played out in Helsinki. There are a lot of the big startups coming out of Finland were started by former Slush organizers. Like Wolt is the most popular food delivery app in Europe. I think it sold to DoorDash for $8 billion. And that was started by the first CEO of Slush. And so that stuff is amazing. The other thing is this idea that you try and something fails, and it is in fact, like my wise mother said, often because there is something better waiting for you. And in fact, it's a long story, but before we had this idea of reimagining the ancient Panathenia, we actually tried to get a big American, like a big mature festival that was looking for a European home. We tried to get them to come here to Athens, and we raised like 60 million euros in just 3 months, all from Greek sources, mind you, to back this big exclusive deal with an American festival. We got super close. It was like a competitive setup between 5 European cities. We got super close. We really did our best. I cannot point to anything we did wrong. And still, they picked one of the other 5 cities, which is super disappointing. But then we were like, look, we have all this momentum, all this excitement. Surely we can build our own. And that's what led to this, I think, much better idea of Greece on its own, reimagining this historic treasure, really as a gift to the world, much better. But I don't think we would have necessarily thought of that or had the confidence, the courage to do that if we hadn't first gotten really close on this completely other path. And so those are 2 of my main lessons. And there's a lot of smaller things that I've learned over the years that I try to help the team. The way we structure the organization, by the way, is exactly modeled after Slush. It's a nonprofit. All the full-time employees, including the CEO and everyone, are students and new grads. And then we have a big group of mentors like myself, like my beloved wife, who is also an angel co-investor with me, that are mentors. And the same is true, actually. You were asking what's going on, and I said lots of Panathenia is one of the things. But I'm also actually, for the first time, building a proper fund, a seed fund called Florent Venture Capital Partners, and it's run by 2 professional fund managers, my dear old friend Christian, who used to run Sweet Capital for, the guys that built Candy Crush. They built a fund, he ran it. And so he's in Lisbon, I'm here in Athens. We have a 3rd Danish founder of this fund who was one of the founding engineers at Siri before it got bought by Apple. And we're building this fund that focuses on enterprise AI. Like the core thesis is that AGI is coming. And so what are the companies that needs to be built now in AI to make a difference once even AGI is there? But of course, that can also make good revenue in the interim period here. And we just got it started. We pooled a few million of our own money, and now we're raising maybe a 50 million fund or so. And even just the first investment we've done with you can think of it as the seed money for the fund, right? And just like a year and a half or so, I think the fund is up 2 or 3x. Like, it's such a hot space. And these are all European founders, by the way. Some of them in Silicon Valley, but they're all European founders. Not that that's like a strict rule or anything, but that's just where I think the potential is. Like, I think everyone knows that the talent here is intense, but there's not quite enough funding yet. And so that's a fantastic opportunity for a young, well-connected fund. And we use the fund, Florent, uses this community building a lot also as its vehicle. So Florent and Christian, deeply involved in helping building Panathenia, and we're connected to Sigma Square, the amazing organization of young founders, to Wave Ventures, many other eWar, these kind of community building things. And I mean, it's the most exciting time, to be honest. That was a very long answer to your very short question.
No, I mean, I agree. It's literally all about like hope, and that is, you know, the reason why we started ETN is to showcase people like you who, you know, you're an example, right, for something that is wildly ambitious, that it can work, right? And so I wholeheartedly agree with that. And we appreciate your time so much. And you know, we've run out of time, but
We have run out of time today. What a pleasure.
what a pleasure.
Well, this is again, this was super fun. And by the way, you know, I mean, everyone knows this, right? ETN's brand new, and you have really struck a nerve. I mean, I have not seen anything come out creating such a buzz in such a short period of time. So I'm thrilled you'd let me on your show, and can't wait to see what we'll see you in Slush, but even more so next May for Panathenia 2.0.
Yeah, we'll see you in the sun.
We'll see you there. We'll see you at both. Lars, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Good stuff. Great to see you.
Thank you. Take
Cheers,
care.
Lars. What a legend. Straight up legend.
LEGEND. Legend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mental. Just a quick word from our sponsors, Jack and Jill. Do not miss the unmissable jobs at the hottest companies. Jack and Jill will listen to what you want and test thousands of new jobs every hour to find job opportunities worth seeing. Go to jackandjill.ai and is AND in the domain, not the little symbol.
Don't listen. Up next, we have Marcus Berent, the managing director. I'm trying to work out how to pronounce that, but you nailed it in one. The managing director of BMWI Ventures, was also the ex-CEO of BMWI Ventures in Germany. He'll be coming on to break down what they're doing over there, and I guess just the state of Germany, the tech scene in general. Which is going to be super fun.
Super nice dude. We met him a few weeks ago. He is a cool guy. I think one thing we should touch on is the Inception Fund's release of their 21 million euro micro fund.
Let me see. Pull this up, Ola.
We can get this pulled up by our producer. Before I start reading it out, I'm going to read out what they started talking about with Europe, and they believe that Nordics can be the epicenter, and especially Stockholm. So if we basically what they said, if we take the first unicorn from the Nordics and Europe, Skype and MySQL, Skype literally had a founding team that was Swedish, Danish, and Estonian, and MySQL had a founding team that was Swedish and Finnish. Melinda says both were early unicorns, but since then haven't seen many cross-border companies. We think that we can build that bridge where Stockholm is the epicenter. We also see that Stockholm will become Europe's epicenter, especially for application layer AI startups. I mean, from the conversations that we had last on Tuesday's show, you know, I think they could be right, and it's exciting. The fund is backed by some incredible people. Silo AI's Peter Salin, King founder Sebastian Knudsen, Lovable, Sana, Lagora, Tandem Health, Aris Machina, a ton of other people. So
Stellar lineup.
yeah, it's exciting. I mean, we're going to have a ton of, you know, Stockholm-based companies, founders of companies on the show. Obviously, they're just coming out like thick and fast. It's crazy.
Yeah, we'd love to see that. Speaking of Lovable, they have announced a partnership. Most recently announced with OpenAI and the Imagy collaboration. OpenAI is providing $1 million in credit so schools can use Lovable for free through Imagy during CS Ed Week plus the Hour of AI. If you're a teacher who wants to bring Lovable into your classroom, you can find more at lovable.dev/Imagy. Really cool initiative. Really
Yeah,
cool
it's cool.
initiative here.
Good on Anton.
I'm thinking like if I'm
Congrats to Anton.
at school, I can think of loads of ways that you can use Lovable.
Oh, dude,
in, like,
if I was at school
education
with Lovable
perspective,
just like on my laptop, that'd be
but imagine that rolling out at school, right? So I remember when we did like when I'm not even sure if that age of like art is still is that still they still do art like when you're like younger than 13?
They do art in school.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course they do.
But is it like the same? Like, what is this kind
art?
of sitting at the intersection of like tech and art, right? Like, like is ICT?
Yeah,
still-
yeah, must be.
I can't even remember what we did in
Computing,
ICT.
basically.
It was like I actually have no idea what we did.
I
in
remember
ICT.
like
I used to hate
doing
it,
very
though.
basic coding of like little robots and stuff. Not robots, but like
Well, you
there's like a little bug, and like you would like code something, and then like the bug would move a little bit, and then you would code something else, and it would move another little bit.
That sounds riveting.
It was super fun times.
I just remember like word art stuff.
Word art.
Yeah, like you
You're just playing on word art.
Well, I mean, like when you were younger,
In art or in like computing class?
my mind is so bogged up from.
Well, I think in art, Lovable can help. I guess I don't know. Like what?
I guess it's more just like software development classes, but that's.
I think it's just like just generally just time like on these softwares. I think it's just like super valuable.
good,
for, like,
it's
for
great
like
exposure.
a very for like someone who is young, just like putting a laptop in front of them with Lovable on the screen and just say, hey, look, go have fun, like go and kind of do whatever you want, create
away.
something that you want. That I think is more valuable than the whatever 16 years I spent at school.
Wow, what? Just that one lesson?
Yeah.
I clipped through all
Maybe.
16 years. Damn, fair enough.
I think it's just time using these things that
No, I think it's good. It's good
have-
exposure.
have
It should be done.
long lasting value. Like they're gonna they're gonna be impactful in life. You know, people are already using them at work, and I think just being like tapped into knowing how to operate these things is just so much more
It's
useful.
got nearly 3,000 likes, by the way. It's posted
On
20
LinkedIn.
hours ago.
That is a
A lot of likes.
that's a lot of likes, a lot of impressions for Mr. Anton. He just goes viral, and, you know.
I mean, it was off Lovable's page, which
fair.
is even
I was gonna say,
more
the guy could
impressive,
sneeze
to
on
be honest.
LinkedIn and like it'd be like, whoa.
Yeah. But that's even more impressive coming from the company account. They've got
Yeah,
to do that
Lovable.
banger.
Serious distribution right there. So next on the show we have Marcus Berent. He is the managing director at BMW iVentures. He's coming on in literally 1 minute. But before we go there, let's talk about Fora workspaces for your everyday. Workspaces to make your everyday extraordinary. Work from home at work.
Love it.
Private offices, whole floors with dedicated desks. Fora offers workspace solutions for teams of all sizes. They also have some wicked suites in the office at the moment to go and check.
Yeah, Fangs. The Fangs are really nice. Let me
Fangs
tell you
are
quickly about its
insane.
up there. It's the open source middleware to control, govern, and observe AI access to your tools and data. I'm checking with our producer, Orla. We are, Marcus, I think we can hear you and you can hear us. We can also see you, but there is one more link, I think, in the G Meet that you have to click. It's got video next to it, and it should have a link next to it. If you could join that one as well, then I think our lovely viewers at home can see you and hear you as well. So we've not got you live on air just yet. But I'm just checking.
We'll let you know. We let you know when it's working.
They'll give us a thumbs up.
It'll pop up on the screen, and then we are live.
And then we will be good to go. I'm just checking our calendar.
Yeah, we're good. Just to confirm, you've joined both links, Marcus. Okay.
Okay, amazing.
And you're live on both links.
Riverside. Yes, correct. Is there anything you have to do once you join those? Is it like a join? Oh no, it should just
join
be
both.
joining both. We're just waiting to get a thumbs up from our producer. You may need to leave and then rejoin, Marcus. I'm so sorry. There might just be something on our end. Are you able to try that?
Just leave. Yeah, leave both and then join.
leave both and then rejoin both. Thank you, Marcus.
A little bit of technical difficulties. I feel like it's always nice and spicy. We've got to try it.
difficulties. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with giving it your all,
No,
as Lars said.
no.
You never know what you're capable of.
Did we mention the other trade deals that we did yesterday? We just mentioned Cherry.
No, we did them all.
Oh, you did all.
Yeah, Plural, Valerian. We talk about City AM, actually.
Plural, by the way, actually, just to say. So we went to their offices the other day. Oh, yesterday, sorry.
Yeah.
Nice offices, lovely, whatever. They're actually moving, but insane, like crap.
What a lineup of partners.
They were just like whittling through the partners, and it's just like, God.
Yeah.
God. It's pretty
Like,
mad.
founder of Wise was just
Yeah, I met the founder of Wide yesterday. That's pretty awesome.
lovely guy. Absolutely lovely guy. Gave us a lot of time.
And thanks to the comms teams as well. Very nice of them.
I think it might be good to go with our good old friend Marcus over here coming in to talk about BMW Ventures. Yeah.
Okay, we are live.
Marcus, we are live on the European Technology Network. Welcome to the show and thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. And I'm happy that we got the technology working here.
Yeah,
Always a
that's
little-
our
a
bad.
few hiccups.
We are the European Technology Network, but it does not mean that we don't sometimes get away with a few technical difficulties.
No.
Look, what's new? Tell us about BMW Ventures and what you guys are working on at the moment, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I'm happy to, and great to be on the show. Actually, I'm really watching your interviews and discussions frequently. So yeah, just in a nutshell, BMW Ventures is, as the name tells you, the corporate venture arm of BMW, but we're trying to be a little different. We are trying not to be as corporate as it sounds. We're trying to combine best of both worlds, we always say. So we're a financially driven venture fund with a single LP structure that has, I always say, 10,000 plus engineers in the background to help us do diligence, to help us work with our companies and so on. We have in development as well as in production. So there's plenty of people that we can connect portfolio companies to, or that we can, get in touch and help everybody. So the idea is that we act like a financial VC. We invest in companies, we take leads, we follow, we also take responsibility in board seats. We try to make our companies strive, and hopefully one day they will work together with BMW on a joint endeavor, product, service, whatever they offer and whatever they take. But it's basically no obligation, right? It's voluntarily for both. It's we help the company to get in touch, and we help our business units to get in touch with the new technology, the focused product teams, and whatever. And once this synergy happens, then we're all happy together. And if for whatever reason the company has a product that is suitable in other spaces, we will help them to work there as well. So we're keeping this very open-minded.
That's awesome. So, like, in the first question that comes to mind, is it like, will you guys invest in specifically stuff that is related to the development of the BMW group, right? Like, is it going to be like manufacturing / like car related scale ups or startups, technology innovators, or do you do like a breadth of stuff?
So I think our investment fields are fairly broad, but every VC has to have some agreement with the LPs where they invest in, right? So I'm always like kind of saying it the other way around. We're not doing healthcare, we're not doing fashion, because that's what we don't know, right? But whenever I can find an expert within the BMW group, so BMW has developed or hired an expert, then probably it's done investments in silicon, we've done hardcore deep tech, we've done services, we've done fintech. Always when it touches the realm of our businesses or our mothership's business, then it's investable for us. And then we believe if we investigate and due diligence and help the company, we actually have an edge over other VCs as well, because we know the space, we bring the money to the table, we have all the tools to develop those companies. So therefore, that is where we go. We do material science, we do sustainability, we did AI, we did some things that are very close to mining in terms of securing resources, helping supply chains develop, all these kind of things. So very broad spectrum.
Yeah, nice. You guys are based in Berlin, is that right?
No, actually we're headquartered in the United States in Silicon Valley, because this is where we set up the fund back then in 2017. that was to learn from the best and to like compete with the best, right, in the thermal venture space. And also, little sidekick, right? If you go far away from the mothership, you're a little bit out of sight for the first years, and that's very crucial for a CVC to actually strive and become successful, because those first years you can't show the return yet, but you've already spent a lot of money, and it is very important to show progress and success before actually the mothership takes a second look and says, "Hey, where are you guys? How are you? How good are you on your targets?" And that's what we were actually able to achieve. And now I think there's a very close relationship. And we always had a Munich office for the European scope, but we're trying to really engage into the European ecosystem more and more, because we see so many good developments there. We see that the technology is there. We see that capital is missing to actually grow companies. And with our global footprint, it is very important to have continued the work in the US, but also strengthen the work in Europe to actually help the ecosystem. That's, I think, why I'm so happy to talk to you guys here, because that's what we're all trying to do, to get this system up to speed so it can be, as a strong partner to all the other systems out there. Ecosystem.
Yeah, I want to ask a question about something we spoke to. I can't remember who it was on the show recently. Basically, it's the discussion about early stage capital and then follow on capital in Europe. And you mentioned that there isn't enough capital, and I agree. What's the value add you see BMW I Ventures playing in the stack? Is it kind of pre-seed? Are you guys looking like very founder centric? Are you kind of very broad in that sense, or do you feel like your value add is that larger capital play that you can then provide follow-on capital and keep these startups operating in Europe essentially?
Yeah, so this, if you want to do VC, right, then it depends very much also on the capital that you have available, so which stages you can invest in. Our funds are usually 300 million funds. We are in the second fund right now. We're investing out of the second fund. The first one is closed for initial investments, but we're still staying strong with our companies, and we do follow-ons. So the idea is that with this capital and then the risk diversification that you have to take, we probably are best doing approximately 30 investments. So our check size is between 1 and 10 million, our initial check size, and then we have follow-on reserves to help our companies grow and strive. There is a limit, though, where our pockets are too small to go into growth capital or private equity sections. That's just to give it a name. So we're actually helping companies sometimes from seed, usually from Series A to B, through CD, whatever they need. And once they grow bigger, then they have to go out and find larger capital sources. Mm-hmm. But that's often already PE territory, right?
Yeah.
So we try to help our companies grow as much as we can.
No, that makes sense. I wanted to ask, for like, isn't it like a North Star metric for you guys is obviously like returning money to LPs, right? Like, as everyone's aware of that. That's just like a standard sort of, it's very obvious. But is there an element to which this, for a CVC, like, it would be great if BMW was to acquire these technologies and bring them in-house after you and the way that I look at it is like BMW I Ventures, like a part of what you do could essentially be like you're scanning the field for amazing technology that you do want to be close to, and eventually, if everything goes to plan, bring in-house, right? Like, is that an element that you're kind of weighing up as well when you're making these bets, or?
So no, we don't actually. So our task is not to strategically invest for future acquisitions. And there's two reasons. So there's three reasons. The most obvious is we have a merger acquisitions department. So if this happens, we have strategic investors that can do that. So that's a group function. We are there to actually explore startups that are maybe beyond the thinking of our corporation yet, that develop technologies or services that are beyond the usual interest of the core business at the moment. And we try to nurture them and grow them and help them develop their technology so that they become interesting for our mothership or others, other customers out there, right? So we often do that jointly with other CVCs or financial investors. So one example is we've done an investment in Switzerland together with Porsche Ventures, Volvo Ventures, and Airbus Ventures, just to name the corporate venture arms in there, and other financial investors, to grow that company to become a supplier. So if you look at the automotive industry, usually I kind of sometimes articulate it as we're orchestrating suppliers in the industry, right? So the depth of value creation within the company is not that large anymore. It's oftentimes that you buy components, you buy systems, and then you integrate, manufacture them, and sell them to the customers. So it always depends on the type of technology and on the type of service if you want to have it in-house or not. But usually 95% of our investments will never be acquired by an OEM or us, in this case, BMW. They will serve as suppliers. They might find strong partners with other suppliers. They might stay independent. But it is not our goal to actually start these strategic acquisition processes. Like some other CVCs do, we don't do that at all. We have different departments that care for that.
Yeah, and following on from what you mentioned about the different industries you're kind of looking into and where you see BMW I Ventures kind of playing, what's exciting you at the moment with where you're looking at and where you're focusing on at the moment?
So you cannot this question cannot be answered without saying AI. Of course, we're looking at the AI space. We're scanning and seeing and trying to understand where this new technology is going to lead us to, or the newest developments in this old technology are going to lead us to. We also see the problem of the hype, the bubble maybe coming up, overpriced companies. It's very hard in these times where you have so much everybody focusing on the technology. You often have companies that are very good and have a good product, but you also have a lot of people that just write the train, that just write AI on it, or that just have a funky idea, call it AI, and it's basically nothing. So it's very, very difficult to separate the very good startups and the true technology startups from the other ones. And that's what we try to focus on. We really look into business-to-business applications where we're, I say this now, probably not gonna invest in another LLM system, right? So we think this ship has sailed with the big companies that actually do that. But there's a lot going on the inference options. There's a lot going on in, as I said, B2B businesses where you can actually really advance processes or product design or all these kind of things. And we did in the past some investments in artificial intelligence companies or companies that had the potential to utilize that technology. And that, I think, has helped us a lot to stay afloat on this. So Cenera, a Bremen-based company, is one of them, actually having a no-code workflow tool for development, and now puts agentic AI on top of it very successfully, and it looks like a stunning product, and it immediately kicks in to be effective for the customers that they already have. So very interesting development. But that's just one niche. We're still looking into all the other fields that have been looking into the past, right? So material science, services at the point of sales, all these kind of things. And interestingly, because of the AI hype, there's far less money for those spaces, and there's far better opportunities to be made now if you take the look and if you take the time to actually evaluate properly.
Yeah, I was zooming out a little bit, and when we spoke on our call a few weeks back, when we were trying to tee this conversation up, a trending topic at the time, and in many ways still is, this sort of pan-European, it's a bit of a change of topic, but this sort of pan-European entity, sort of European stock exchange, I think was the main thing that we were discussing. And we've touched on it a little bit. I know that like Andreas Klinger has made some comments on this, founder of EU Inc. Here's his hat. But would love to have your take on this. Right, I think it was the German Chancellor that was offering support to this notion. Like, what is this great? Is this a good thing for Europe? It sounds pretty good. It sounds like this would be a bit of a problem solver in terms of liquidity in these sort of siloed markets. What do you think?
So I'm not an expert for public markets, right? But I do think as a pathway for our privately held startups, we need to have some valuable exit routes. And I think what this discussion stands for is we need a more concentrated market where everybody comes together. So Wall Street is for public markets. Sand Hills Road is for the private markets in the US, in the Silicon Valley, right? That's where the VCs used to meet and where the big VCs develop. We need in Europe similar hubs, similar centers. And therefore, I think the idea of a European stock exchange is a synonym for a larger stock exchange that can actually deliver like the US stock exchange does, the Wall Street, the NASDAQ, the market there. That's what this stands for. So it's again, I think, a discussion about the future growth capital. And there's great stock exchanges in Europe already that work very well. So I think Sweden's stock exchange, also called NASDAQ, interestingly, had quite a few IPOs in the past. And sometimes being on a smaller stock exchange helps companies to get mature earlier for public markets. So it might be an advantage. But still, I think Europe needs one big trading hub where you can achieve all these things. And I mean, yeah, so is it Frankfurt? Could we revive London? Those are things that I think are open for discussion without me making any prejudice, because I'm not privy to it and not knowledgeable enough. I'm just saying our companies need exit routes that don't force them to go abroad. That's, I think, what we.
No, that makes complete sense. It's a common rebuttal that we're hearing as well. I mean, we're coming up to time. I'd love to ask, what can we expect next? What are you excited about in your future with WMI Ventures? Yeah, what's coming up that you guys are excited about over there? And if we can send anyone anywhere, where can we send them?
Send them to me. So yeah, no, if you have companies, startups that are interested in incorporating, send them my way. We're in Munich. We have a webpage. You can connect to us. We're very keen on learning more about, especially here in Europe, about deep tech Europe, about services and software here in Europe. Software as a service systems, AI systems, material science subjects. We're just talking to a company that has a leather alternative to stay in the sustainability realm. So those are the things I'm really, really looking forward to. And hopefully we get Europe, with your help and help of these podcasts, to be less bureaucratic and more entrepreneurship friendly, just to toss in an idea for further communications or further discussions.
We appreciate the kind words, and we'll you heard him, guys. We'll try and get people your way. But thank you for coming on, Marcus. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Perfect. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All the best.
Bye. Amazing stuff. Just a quick word from our sponsor, Seapoint, your startup's financial home. Get back control of your finances with Seapoint, a business account that handles invoice payments, expenses, payroll, and reporting. Seapoint.co is where you need to go and do that. Let's touch on the launch of PlayCoach from chess.com. Powered by our wonderful friends, 11 Labs. Let's read it out. The feature is powered by 11 Labs text, speech, and voice cloning. It's bringing voices of the top creators and grandmasters directly into the product. This makes the learning experience more personal, engaging, and accessible to new players. I bet you're pretty excited about this, considering your ability to play chess pretty much 24/7.
Yeah, I'm like getting battered by
Well, now you can play against the one and only Magnus.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I was super excited to see this. Huge fan. I love it. They didn't have my guy on there though, Eric Rosen, which is such a shame because he's a massive creator in the space. He's an international master. He's not a grandmaster, but still pretty good. He's been playing for I think 20 years, and they didn't have him on.
That's so rough.
They've got Hikaru on there, which is great. But they just didn't have my boy Eric Rosen on, which is it's sad. And his voice is it's a very nice, calming voice that he's got.
I think it's awesome from an 11 Labs strategic point of view to what do you think strategically their thesis was to partner with like chess.com? Do you think they're going to be releasing more things with other companies? Like where else can they play this kind of partnership level? Because like that's a genius move in my opinion.
It is. I don't know their weekly users on chess.com, but I'm pretty sure it's really...
Oh my God.
Sorry, well, they've got 225 million members worldwide.
Yeah.
I assume that, a lot of those accounts might be inactive, whatever, but regardless of that, they are those...
At least
chess.com and live chess are like the two main players.
Tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions.
Yeah, surely, right? If you take like maybe 10% of users of the app are
23 million.
monthly users, let's say, that's at least 20 million people that you're reaching a month, which is, I think, pretty fair estimates, right? Like 10% monthly users. That's
100%. It's a genius move from 11 Labs. What's your take on them playing in other spaces like this?
I think it's cool. I think that if there's anyone to do, I mean, this particularly their niche, it's essentially like a crossover of like gaming / enablement pieces. But it makes, if I'm going to learn, I'd rather learn off someone who I'm familiar with, who makes me comfortable, who, I kind of trust. And if they can create this, I guess, alongside like avatar companies, whatever it is, but if they can create this familiar sounding, if it was Eric Rosen, like I would be actively like seeking out this. I'd be on the beta waitlist. I'm not sure if it's launched yet, but I'd want to sit down and like I'd get coached by Eric Rosen. Like, that's really cool. I watch his YouTube videos religiously. He's the guy that keeps me interested in chess and keeps me wanting to learn more. So the fact that they can kind of marry those two, I mean, from a retention perspective from the app anyway, like.
If you're learning directly from the people that you like admire, right? Like that's
it's cool, but
obscene retention that they can provide for chess.com, but also like a loyalty that you then garner for 11 Labs as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Where else do you think they can apply that?
I mean, look, there's probably loads of stuff, right? Like, I'm pretty sure they're already doing this. Who was it mentioned on the stream the other day? Was it Ollie at Concept, maybe, that they've introduced this like marketplace for like voice actors, right? Audiobooks as well. They're absolutely smashing it on that. Like, there are so many different angles.
Yeah.
For them to deploy this. And it's such a fun thing to do as well. Like, I just know that their GCM team's having an absolute blast. Like, their demo videos are great. Their style of marketing is really good. Like when I was at I think it was the VO3 voice launch a couple months back, to be honest, maybe 4 months ago, at Dawn's offices, like there's a showmanship to it. There's like, even the event itself, like it's filled with laughs. Like they've put time and effort into like making it a really engaging day using their tech though, like using their voice tech. Like huge fan. I think it's one of the coolest things we've seen from one of our like European darlings at the moment. So props to Matty and the team. We love to see that, and it's bringing a smile to my face. I hope it brings a smile to yours, my friend.
It does. Just a quick thing, breaking or just in. So we've got Matt Clifford on the show in I think it's next week, right?
Yes, that is
Mr.
correct.
Matt Clifford, obviously his speech at LFG went absolutely bananas on X. Mr. Harry Stebbings has just tweeted at him and he said, "We need leaders we look up to, leader we can be proud of. Matt Clifford is that leader. I am donating $100,000 to support his campaign. I will support with all media. Great people deserve great responsibility. It is time for change. Make Britain rich again." Exciting stuff. I think that's awesome. And congrats to Matt Clifford for getting Mr. Harry Stebbings' approval. I think that's pretty cool. And then our first and truest fan, Alex McDonald, commented and said, "I salute Matt's courage and look forward to hearing more of his policy ideas. If they're good, I'll join you, Harry, with 100K." Which is cool.
That's a 1 and 2 zeros right there.
Yeah.
The 100.
So good on both of them and Mr. Matt Clifford. I'm sure we'll talk about that on the show next week. Next on the show, we have Ricardo. Partner at Point 9 Ventures. We're going to talk everything about P9 land, what they're looking at, and then he's got a few takes on the 1X Neo launch, which is going to be good. Entrepreneurship as an artistic endeavor. So we're going to touch on that. But just before we do that, Jack and Jill, don't miss the unmissable jobs at the hottest companies. Jack and Jill will listen to what you want and search thousands of new jobs every hour to find job opportunities worth seeing. Go to jackandjill.ai. Our lovely partners over at Jack and Jill.
You'd hate to miss those jobs.
You would hate to miss those jobs.
I knew a guy who missed one.
Oh yeah?
Didn't
Where is he
turn out
now?
well. Didn't turn out well for him.
Peak.
So, don't miss him.
Is peak.
Let's get this Google logo.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's get
Can
it
we
up on
pull
the
this
screen.
one up? This is
Gangster. This is so cool.
I like it. I'm not going to lie. I'm here for it. This is Raphael Sarah at Ale Pon Popped. Probably butchering that. Don't know. But
Dude, he's got 1.2 million views. I don't think he needs people to.
Yeah, no, he's getting enough attention as it is. 1.2 million views, 20k likes, 2.2k bookmarks. I always like the if it's got strong views. Yeah, great. Okay, obviously it's super cool. It's kind of hard to get that many views, but the likes, it's all in the likes. 20k favorites. What we're looking at here is a Raphael's version of a new Google logo.
We like it, but the comments are actually saying
Google
no.
logo. What are the comments saying?
They're pretty brutal. I'm not gonna lie. It's quite jokes. Ratif says, write grok, write no in 20 languages.
Yeah.
Which is actually so good. Someone else says, Veli says, looks like it was made on Canva. Raphael then tweets back and said, you hurt my feelings. Then Jani says, seems soulless, AI generated ? And then Raphael said, you hurt my feelings twice.
Oh, Raphael is just.
There's a ton of no's. I mean, is it just because it's different and...
Look, people hate change. People hated on A16Z's
Google's
brand, and then now everyone kind of likes it. I think it's people hate change.
I think I would miss the logo if they did change Google's logo.
It's quite sci-fi-esque.
I kind of agree.
What did you think of the Meta rebrand when they did that, like the Facebook to the Meta?
Rebrands are always a really weird one because I'm not always in for change. I quite like, especially logos. I feel like you get quite attached to logos.
It's tough to do. Right? You don't want to have a Jaguar on your hands.
Oh, no, you don't.
That was just
no,
branding
you do not.
suicide, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think they're turning that around though. To be fair, I think they're doing okay now. I don't know, but the Google logo, I think I just missed the old one.
It's familiar. It's comfortable. It's nostalgic.
It's the nostalgia side. If Google changed their logo, the timelines of every single social media would break.
Yeah, no, they would, wouldn't it? It makes you feel comfortable. It makes you feel happy.
Implode.
Yeah. Hey, Google that.
Which we're kind of losing now, considering the rise of Mr. ChatGPT. But it didn't really have the same ring. ChatGPT, that bro. ChatGPT.
Yeah, so you added the bro in there. I think a lot of those tracks of search engine optimization and search engine usage on the apps. I guess we've all seen the graphs where it's Google's growth is microscopically declining and GPT's rise is microscopically rising. We're also seeing Google I can't remember what it was, but it's something like 90-something% of their revenue comes from alternate revenue streams. So isn't the search engine, the ad revenue based off that?
Well, yeah, they're incredibly broad in terms of.
There's that really cool meme of
yeah.
Who's the old guy who's the coach of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? You know what I mean?
No.
You know what I mean? It's the old rat guy.
No. Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
Producer, do we have Ricardo on the show? Ricardo, how's it going?
Hey boys, how are you doing?
Yes, very, very good. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you. Let's start with an intro. What's going on in P9 land, and then we'll go from there. We've got a lot to talk about. This is actually a very exciting conversation.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, we've been seed investors headquartered in Berlin for now more than 15 years, which was when Christoph and Pavel started the firm. Today we're a team of 4 equal partners. We take pride in ultimately investing in a small number of companies per year, roughly 3 to 4 per partner per year. And we commit to companionship and support with patience and understanding for a very long period of time. The strategy is somewhat unchanged. Lead seed rounds all over the world. We've been global from day one, and we look for some software-centric companies, and that's largely AI and the software definition of the physical world across industries. We can talk a bit about that later. And ultimately, the job is just about defending the new and going on this discovery of the truth together with the entrepreneurs that we're lucky to back. That's sort of what's been up in Point9 land. We've been excited, and it's never been a better time to be building incredible companies and to be backing them and being lucky to support them.
Yeah, we've heard a lot from our guests. There's never been a better time to kind of be building. I think especially in Europe, but obviously everywhere and globally, and we support that obviously. Let's dive deep onto Europe. Obviously, are you an investor with Project Europe? Is that?
So we were lucky to be one of the first sort of investor LPs in Project Europe to help Harry, Kitty, Jade, and the whole 20VC gang, get the project off the ground. And we're super excited about, that first cohort of investments that we've found all over Europe. So yeah, participant, supporter, investor, it's just a cause that rings very closely to my heart and to our heart at Point9. So we've been lucky to be supporters of the project from day one.
That's so cool. And do you have any cool stories from Project Europe and being surrounded by those guys? We think, we're massive advocates. We think that they're doing something very, very cool, and we back it. So I'd love to hear your experience.
So I think that even before Project Europe, the interesting bit is just the talent density of this newer generation of young founders across Europe is off the charts. And I think the diffusion of the know-how on how to build these next generation companies that you would be, able to see in the Bay Area and other regions of the US has been so fast that we're seeing, incredibly young entrepreneurs building very meaningful companies all over the continent. And, learning stories from Kitty, who's leading the project, about people that they find in all different corners of Europe and how, to a certain extent, they are potentially even disconnected from the key ecosystems that we have in Europe. But, they're building with intent, with intuition, with meaning. It's sort of their life's work. And we're super lucky to find them early and connect them to belief, to know-how, to this very large list of incredible European founders building, billion-dollar companies or scale-ups that have also participated in investing in the project and that are supporting these very young entrepreneurs. And I think that connectivity is what really drives the power of Project Europe, because one day an entrepreneur we find somewhere in the middle of Greece or in the middle of Norway is kind of alone, building, secluded from sort of the ecosystem. And in a matter of days or hours, in many cases, they're connected to some of the most incredible builders of the ecosystem. And that happens on a weekly basis at Project Europe. And that's super exciting. And because, we can talk about Europe a lot. We're on ETN. One of my key convictions is that one of the things that we're missing in Europe, besides, we talk about talent, we talk about capital, we talk about regulatory, but my key conviction is that one of the key needs is belief culture. And so being able to invest not only capital in these under 25-year-olds, but also investing belief and creating reflectivity around belief, because belief builds belief, ultimately is one of the most important things of the project that gets me very, very, very excited.
Yeah, I think a perfect segue from that belief side, and we're huge. I completely agree with that point. We spoke on DM yesterday about the artistic endeavor of entrepreneurship. Let's hear what's your take on that? Let's hear your thoughts, and we can dive deeper into that.
Yeah, I think this is a reflection that I've had over the years, that like the endeavor of entrepreneurship is less of a job for sure, right? Like, but it's also not, a scientific endeavor, or even less sort of like a technical endeavor. Entrepreneurs are not technicians, but rather sort of artistic craft. Because, to start a company and to have the belief that reality can be bended by what you think reality should look like is much more of self-expression than it is of execution. And so I do think that like founders build companies based on intuition, based on craft, based on a vision that they have. And scientists in some ways are seeking universal truths. And founders are ultimately sort of like bringing their personal vision of what truth or what could be true in the future. So that's a bit of how I think about it. It's the expression of the self. You deal with uncertainty when you have a canvas and you need to start painting. You don't know where to start. And to a certain extent, that the space where originality lives is in the white canvas or the white page that you need to start writing. And that initial part of the entrepreneurial journey is extremely driven by self-expression. And the job of the investor somehow is, especially of like pre-seed and seed investors, which is where we operate at Point Nine, is to discover the new, defend it with capital, and again, our belief and our understanding of that, endeavor of self-expression that a founder goes into, and together with the founder, go on that discovery of the truth. And truth means like uncharted, uncertain territories, and to a certain extent, like it's what enables speed and what enables, the ability to move faster and be right faster in achieving the specific goals that founding teams have for the short, mid, and long term. So maybe an interesting point, right? Like we talk a lot about speed is a moat, and execute, like speed of execution is a moat. To a certain extent, in the absence of truth seeking, speed is just motion. It's not progress, right? Like, so bringing that back a bit to the work we do with founders at Point Nine, going on that discovery of truth is enabling founders to be right faster and achieve their goals faster.
It's interesting. That was an awesome answer. I'd love to jump in and just ask, like, I think the artistic element that you mentioned, like, I think a really great company, like really great companies, you can see personality, like the artistic personality of the founders trickle into the company. And that,
we were speaking about Klarna, weren't we?
Yeah, a while back. Yeah. I'm doing like
Andreas
from Atomico.
Atomico.
Yeah. That was cool. I mean, like his personality, he wears the pink suits. He's like very active, very energetic. Like you can kind of see that in the way that Klarna is branded. And now, if I think of like physical products, like you see a lot of Musk in the Cybertruck. You see a lot of Jobs, throughout the whole of Apple. Maybe not anymore, but when he was alive and consistently working on products and design, like a lot of his personality, a lot of his like ridiculous sort of like strict nature around certain things being perfect. Famously, I think it was his father who was a carpenter. Like the inside of the things he would create would always be amazing, even though he knew that no one would look at them because it's a personal thing that Again, just left field, but like, do you think we've lost that in this modern era? I'm trying to think of others that are more modern that maybe we can apply that to, but I'm struggling. But this is for physical products, so maybe it's harder with with software and stuff.
I think that I don't think we've lost that. I think it just characterized in different ways. And obviously, when you talk about physical products, there is sort of like your coin is embedded into something that you can touch. But to a certain extent, I do feel that like it's not just one. I think even in software products and AI products, you can embed like self-expression. Like the way you craft the product, you can crank, like there's many ways you can crank up a disposable piece of software, but there's only a few ways, or in the case of a founder, there's a unique way on how you craft, that specific piece of software, right? Like if you look at companies like Linear or that have that artistic craftsmanship to building software. Even Attio in our portfolio is a similar case. There's a lot of that in the product, in the care of how you build software products. But I don't think it's just about the product itself. It's the culture that you embed in your company. It's the way people relate. It's the way when you encounter employees from any of these companies, you see the embedded sort of culture that is instilled, obviously to a certain extent, by the founders and over time by the overall team that gets created. So I think that that movement, that cult that gets created inside a company, is also driven by that artistic expressionism that I alluded to.
Yeah, we saw that, and again, I want to kind of segue nicely into the launch of Neo and 1X, and you can see that in their product and especially their launch video, that it was crafted so well, and they had that segment where it was almost like just B-roll of the beauty of the robot with. I can't remember what song was on it, but it was a cool video. Let's speak about. Say again.
It'll need to work, right? Like we've seen a lot of memes online about how the product is teleoperated.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how this sort of data acquisition strategy of bringing robots to people's homes will play out.
The
spicy take that I'm alluding to is that I do think like real world data is an important piece of the robotics puzzle. And unlike maybe LLMs, where a lot of the data in the internet allows us to bring a certain level of intelligence, and then you can have labeling farms that brought the rise of companies like Scale and Mercor, ultimately doing the RLHF very efficiently. I just think that to a certain extent in robotics, the complexity of manipulation, locomotion, and other robotic tasks will encounter roadblocks if we're only driving simulation-driven data and maybe imitation learning and teleoperation learning data.
Yeah.
So real-world feedback will play an important role in robotics in my mind.
So what do you think, sorry to jump in, but what do you think, when you look at this real-world training data for these humanoid robots that they're deploying? I'm not sure how many they're deploying or how wide of the scope they're going from a scale perspective. We see Tesla's, right, for example, were trained on real-world data. It's a part of what makes them as good as they are. But that scale that they're doing that on is absolutely insanely large in terms of the number of cars that are on the field and also the amount of data that they're having input from all over the globe, right? So many different sort of spatial terrains, let's say, as well.
Yeah.
Do Neo have to then, again, I'm obviously clearly no expert, but do Neo have to then choose to go at a large scale, deploy these things in as many different sort of house types designed differently as possible to make the things data accurate? Or?
It's a good point because what's his name? The Woot founder wrote a tweet and quoted on it and basically said this is almost the wrong way to do it, where it's you should have a private kind of beta where you test on a smaller data set, get that data and then create the V2. The quicker you get a V2 out, the better. So it's interesting point.
I mean, I'm not close to the company. I think I see as much as we all see from their releases and their all the conversation that it has ignited in the interwebs. I think that what you alluded to with Tesla, very similar with Wave, our European self-driving company that recently released data around how the car went into Japan. There was massa in the car. It started driving, and it just got better and better the more it drove on the roads of Japan. But then that brought even incremental performance accuracy to cars driving in San Francisco or in London or in other geographies. So there's this idea that in my mind, and that's something that some of our robotics portfolio companies are focused on, is to nail very specific use cases, and over time get to such great accuracy levels on those use cases that they unlock new use cases that can be trained on the real world data that was acquired, right? So I'll give you an example, right? Like a simple pick and place task on returns handling inside a logistics facility can be achieved fairly easily by basically like winning in categories like groceries or easy pick and place use cases. So as you become incredible in some, you can grow the capabilities. Just like in human evolution, like your baby needs to learn how to, stretch his arms in order to then be able to learn how to crawl, in order to then learn how to walk, right? Like so that's a bit of how I think about it. I'm excited to see how a lot of these humanoid companies will do this live inside people's homes, which are, as you pointed out, extremely sort of like variable environments, not really defined. So excited to like I'll hold my popcorn and excited to see how it works out over the coming years.
Yes, it's so true. It's so true. I want to completely like change topic now about more general advice about VC land. What is like advice for a young person who maybe have just finished uni or they thinking about dropping out or whatever? What's your advice about succeeding, breaking into VC from your position at Point 9?
So I think that like one of the important pieces is to really like acknowledge that even before you start applying to VC roles, or even before you start getting the opportunity to be in seat, it's just important to start training the algo in our heads, right? Like there's so much about venture that is about intuition and taste. Obviously, there's a lot of hustle and a lot to like figure out where are the spots where you want to find incredible companies. But to train that algorithm, you can do it without being in seat, right? Like and being able to build the persona of what you would be as an investor, what type of spaces you're excited about that maybe are not the hottest spaces in town that you can bring to conversations when you interface with people on the hiring front. I think that like that's the most important thing. And then maybe like I think the other bit is like the preparation around like being comfortable with delayed gratification. Like it takes quite some time to start seeing real results, not just up rounds, but real results of like how companies you backed at seed or at pre-seed become real contenders to bend reality, bringing it back to what we discussed initially. And so that is an important thing, right? Like in the world where we're like obsessed with dopamine and very quick hits of gratification, being prepared for that is something that I think is also important.
Yeah, agree.
Sick. Let's pop the Attio question.
Yeah, we got to. We got Nick Attio coming on literally after you, which is quite funny considering you invested them at seed.
Yeah.
Not planned, by the way.
Do you have a question to ask for Nick that we can ask on your behalf from the Point 9 team?
I think that you can ask a lot about how they hire. I think that one of the interesting bits about how the company is developed is just the talent concentration that exists inside the company, and he'll have a few spicy takes to share. I'll save the full story for Nick to be able to share with you guys. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Awesome stuff.
Good stuff. I think we're out of time. I would like to deep dive on Attio and your journey, but should we just jump into that, or can we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask a question about the journey with Attio and like from the early days and how you guys have been part of that journey, because it's an incredible company.
I mean, we just at the time, this was a pre-AI era. Roughly our investment was in like 2021 or 2022. I think 2021. I remember being discussing the term sheet while Nick was traveling, in COVID years. There's a fun story for him to share as well there. But being able to really understand what the endeavor was about, and how I think if someone would have told you we're going after CRM in 21, 22, you'd be like, what the hell, And just a very crisp understanding of what the endeavor was about was sort of like this aha moment that we had internally, and we completely bought into Nick and Alex's vision of how this could play out and how they could win the largest category of software. And then over the years, ups and downs, lots of time in the wilderness period, building a product that we needed to be, to a certain extent, enough parity to compete with, players that exist for more than decades. And with that, like being able to like sequence the different steps of the business in order to get to where we are today has been, a really fun journey, and it's the fun part of it is just it still feels like so much the beginning of it, that I'm still excited about the next 15 years of Attio.
Yeah, 100%. Well, look, thank you so much for the time, and thanks for coming on.
Great to chat.
Cheers,
Thanks for your
Carlo.
time,
Thank
guys.
you. Yeah. And then there was one Nicholas Attio.
Exciting stuff. Just a quick word from our sponsors. Fora workspaces to make your everyday extraordinary. Work from home, at work, private offices, whole floors, or dedicated desks. Fora offers workspace solutions for teams of all sizes. Go to foraspace.com to secure your office. London, they have like 70 locations. They are wicked. Fun times. Should we jump into the residency?
Residency have opened up a spot in Vienna. It is their newest European spot. I can pull up the LinkedIn post from the team. What is
We're just waiting for it to be pulled up by producer.
can have that there.
Here we go. Are we in?
There we go. The post is there. There we are. But yeah, the residency have opened a office in Vienna. This is from Roland Grazer, who we spoke to on a call a few weeks back. His job is to grow the residency and its European presence. For those who don't know what it is, it's an accelerator based in, they have their roots in SF. They've had amazing people come through to talk about, to talk to their cohort members about the amazing stuff that's happening in the ecosystem right now, including Sam Altman. And there's a great photo online somewhere. We'll have to find it, but it's Sama with the whole team. And the whole cohort. It's incredibly hard to get in. The demand is incredibly high, and it's nice to see that these guys are bringing that SF energy over to Europe with this beautiful office in Vienna.
Fun times.
I'm getting word from our team. All I think is Nicholas in the studio. Should we bring Nicholas in? Should we bring him in slightly early?
Yeah, 25 minutes. Let's do it.
Let's get Nicholas on stream. Are we live right now? We are. And Nicholas, welcome to the European Technology Network. It is a pleasure to have you on. We've been pumped for this. It's great to finally get it in the works. Yeah, how are you? What's new? What's going on?
Hey guys, doing really well. Really excited to be on the show finally, after a couple of attempts at scheduling this, and perfect timing with one of our wonderful board members on just before me. So and very glad that this exists now. It's a very good mission.
That means the world to us. Thank you. And yeah, we had Ricardo on. We had a question from Ricardo actually. Should we just get into that? Like we jotted it down. We asked him what we should ask you just there as we were closing out. Luke, did you jot it down?
I did. Yeah. So he said he basically, it was pretty general to be honest, but he was basically like, how do you hire? He wants you to go deep on your. Your philosophy about hiring, because he says the talent in Attio is just incredible. And then he also said there was a spicy take. I want to make sure that we include that and maybe pry that out of you. But
Unfortunately, the spicy take doesn't narrow it down much. There are lots of spicy takes, but I'll do my best to come up with some. But yeah, we have. I mean, hiring is ultimately the number one thing that I do, and it is the number one thing that will define the success, the outcome of Attio. And so there is nothing more important than the people on our team, quite frankly. And so it is something that we have put an absolutely enormous amount of time into. And we also have this really, really big bet on European talent, particularly on talent in London. It's where we hire the bulk of people. It's where we're headquartered. And so, it's our competitive advantage. So the spicy take is that, I guess, the one he might be referring to is that we have we've built a lot of content around personas that people were looking for. And we've done a lot to build really, really robust, efficient, effective hiring pipelines and onboarding pipelines. And all of that work in a couple of years of hiring, mishiring, all of the ups and downs have essentially led us to four personas of people that we're really looking for, and they are as follows. So persona number one is what we call a rising star, and a rising star is something we've taken a lot of bets on in the past. We have a really robust grad program, which has just been exceptional for us. But a rising star is someone who we think is on like this trajectory. It's your seed check into someone that you think is going to be awesome. We then have what we call impact players. Now, impact players are your kind of too good to be true. Everything is perfect, like just hardcore people that you just know are going to have a really, really big impact. You pay for them, but they're generally worth it. Then we have hidden gems. And in the UK is full of hidden gems. And these are people who, given other opportunity, given if they were in a different environment, etc., would be an impact player. But for various reasons, just haven't had that opportunity presented to them. And some of the best people at Attio are what we would consider to be hidden gems. They're working for a software consultancy in Oxford, but just haven't been exposed to startups and tech.
Mm-hmm.
And so, tech as we understand it, startup tech. And so, those are also really good ones. And then we have a fourth category of people that we look for. And these ones we call exceptional potential. And these are people that have something in them. They're slightly different to rising stars in the sense that the potential it could go one of two ways. You're like, there's something about them that is kind of, there's a spark, but that spark is either going to light the fuse for the rocket or burn the place down.
Yes,
So you've got to be a bit careful making those hires, but if you get the ones that light the fuse, then it makes all the difference.
Well, they sound like the best one. I want just a load of them.
Yeah.
We're looking for an intern, so if you've got one of those, then
let's need to find our. That's incredible. I like there was something in there that I really like. I think it was the second one you mentioned, the too good to be true thing. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Sean from My First Million had put like a blog post out a while back on Twitter, and he was describing some of the types of hires that we see, and a lot of some of them were similar to what you mentioned. And what I'd found previously in companies that I worked for, there was this one that. And it kind of comes into the too good to be true type field where it's like, it was the person that you could give anything and they'd get it done. And that person has no idea how to do the thing initially, but they will just get it done. And that was such a great outlet for us, mainly at Convergence as well, when we're doing really late hours. Sometimes it could be 11 at night and you're so stressed and you're like, I just can't do this thing, or I've got that thing that I just can't do. And you give it to this person. And you wake up the next day and they've done it and it's all set up and the systems are connected and everything's running perfectly, and it's just it's just an incredible talent where you can just rely on them, and which I think maybe it comes into to your number two there that you mentioned. Which is really cool.
Absolutely. There are also we don't have to go into too much depth on this because it could take the whole our whole time slot, but basically there's another persona on the anti-patterns, or the things that we want to really probe on and make sure that are okay, which is that you also have people who are really good at catching momentum, and they're really good at joining companies as they scale. And once you've done that once, it's easier to do the second one. And so you go on this pattern of catching momentum, and the momentum pushes you through to your next role. And you can look very much like an impact player with the same LinkedIn. because
Yeah.
it's like great company in growth stage, great company in growth stage, great company in growth stage.
Mm.
And what your job is in the interview is to make sure that you can give them everything person, and not someone who has just managed to ride this momentum from role to role.
Yeah, definitely.
So you've got to push pretty hard on that.
Yeah, it's a big distinction. Okay, well let's move on swiftly. So we don't
we'll get away
dive really heavy into that.
from hiring plans.
Yeah.
I want to ask. It's quite a specific question, but like about your out of home ads and like how what's the feedback? Like we love them. I see them everywhere, bus stops, whatever. Like, and they're just awesome, to be honest.
Yeah. So we have we place big bets on brand. We are in the most competitive of software categories. CRM is essentially a ubiquitous piece of software.
Yeah.
And really brilliant companies built in this space, lots of competitors, etc., and a ton of momentum right now. And so building a really strong brand is very, very important. It's something we took a bet on extremely early. And part of that is getting to the fortunate position where you can actually do out of home. So the first, we started in San Francisco, as makes sense to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that was brilliant. And it was a real kind of pinch me moment. It was really cool to see that we got to the stage where that actually made sense to do. But the one that really, really hit home for us is the London campaign, because that's, these are streets that you've walked your whole life, and they're seen by people who have supported you the whole way, etc. So that one really hit home for me and the team, and it was pretty cool. The impact from a top of funnel perspective has been awesome, and we've seen this year we've massively scaled top of funnel, massively scaled revenue. We're shooting for and on track for 4x ARR growth from very meaningful numbers, and pretty excited to carry on with the out of home. It's been really good for us.
That's so cool. And awesome. I want to, because we keep asking this question, because it comes up in so many conversations. So let's do it again. But like the delta of building companies today, where we're seeing is basically just like brand and taste. Obviously, like you said, that's a massive bet. Where do you see the future of Attio in terms of that taste? Because you have a beautiful brand. I love the brand; it's awesome. Where do you see the kind of future of that kind of coming into play as you grow the top line?
Yeah, so I think what's shifting in our perspective is what people expect from software, and therefore who the software has to talk to. We're just seeing that far more people, now the majority of people in the workplace are kind of digital native. I mean, at one point that was not the case, right? But right now it's like people running businesses, people really high up are people who really understand systems, really understand software. And especially with the just insane development of LLMs over the last few years, have massive expectations around what software is going to do for them, and actually starting to get into this mindset of I'm a system builder, and I've got to really start thinking in systems now, and specifically software systems. And so we've really made sure that our brand resonates with those type of people, and we'll only continue to double down on that to make sure that we are a brand that resonates with people who are ambitious, who are building, who want a ton of flexibility, a ton of power, and really want to get us stuck into that. And I'm not sure if you guys know, but we have a very, very exciting and big launch later today in that direction.
I was we can't, I think I know it, but I don't want to say anything before we're live right now. So can you talk about that?
I'm happy to. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it. I'm happy to talk about it.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that because that's really fun and cool.
This is breaking the embargo, but we are later today. We are launching. It's an on-air live exclusive. We are launching later today our developer platform. This goes so far beyond what you would expect a developer platform for a CRM to be, and it really actually changes Attio from a CRM to a go-to-market platform, because what we are launching is the ability to build apps inside of Attio. And those apps can do a ton of things. Those apps can be as simple as just integrations to other products. You might want to pull data in. You might want to pull some functionality in. But at the other end, they can actually extend the functionality of Attio, and you can build your own user interface. You can build your own actions. You can build your own widgets, workflow blocks, all of these sorts of things. The use cases of these are obviously numerous and varied. So on the simplest level, this just means a ton more integrations, a ton more plugins, a ton more extensibility for people who just want to click install and have new things in the Attio workspace. But on the builder side of things, it means that you as an Attio customer, Attio user, can go and extend the product and make it work even better than it currently does for your organization. And we have seen this extraordinary explosion in, it's the extraordinary democratization of code, of writing code. And what we like to say internally is that code has become the new no code, because you don't need to know how to code now to generate code. And Attio's what we're launching today is all JavaScript. It's all React. We've deliberately made those choices because LLMs are very, very good at writing JavaScript. They're very good at React. It's the most ubiquitous set of technologies. Biggest, it makes up the bulk of a huge amount of the training set. And it means you can now, one shot extend and build apps in your Attio workspace. And so, an extraordinary leap forward from building, Apex apps inside of Salesforce.
Yeah,
Wow.
this is insane.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so maybe a quick, because that's just huge news. We absolutely love to hear it. I was aware. I was a bit, I was sort of waiting for my moment.
But you just wanted him to say it.
I didn't want to, reveal, what it was. But thank you for breaking the news live on stream, Nick. This is really exciting from my point of view. When I was speaking to the team, your amazing team, by the way, shout out to them. For excellent operators helping us get this set up. They've been insane in communication-wise, just amazing. But
awesome.
When we were, when I first saw this, it was interesting because I've used Attio in the past. At Convergence, we were implementing Attio. We chose to do that because for many reasons. One, because of how customizable it was, how easy it was to do, and how amazing the team were, and also the amount of amazing enablement stuff on YouTube and the video content that you guys do as well. Just really, from someone who had no understanding / knowledge of how to implement a software like that. Within a day, it was easy, less than a day, hours, it was fine to do. Which is what honestly, I couldn't speak highly of it. But I'm fascinated by this because the role when we were implementing that, our GTM, I was head of GTM, but a lot of that was marketing, a lot of that was customer success, a lot of that was so multifaceted that it sounds like now you guys are kind of giving a superpower to these. Everyone's being leaner, but they're staying leaner for longer. They're doing more of these tasks. They're owning more sort of departments in one go.
And now they can own all of them on one thing.
Yeah, which is mad because I'm not sure if anyone else is doing this.
I mean, I think it's always been the dream of CRMs to be, all in one stop shop, go to market platforms. But I think the reality is that their architecture has really held them back, and you've really ended up with CRMs being the sort of the center of a stack, and a lot of the innovation being pushed to the peripheries. So because it hasn't been great to build on top of CRMs, what you found is that people build a lot of products, sort of hub and spoke around this central data model. And that's where people have been innovating. Now, that's pretty broken for a few reasons, but it's really, and it was broken before LLMs, but LLMs have really just sort of stressed that architecture to the point of it not making sense anymore, because you can't do good automation with partial context. You've got to have a complete picture to be able to confidently run automation. And if you are sending out a customer email that ignores a call that happened 5 minutes before you sent it, it just doesn't make sense. And equally, if you're sending scheduling a call and you don't know that they just did something in your product that is really important to know, then it also doesn't make sense. So previously humans were that LLM grabbing context from all of these different products. But we don't want to do that anymore. We expect better things, and we expect to be able to spend our time on higher impact things. So we think that it is actually now the time for this true platform.
Yeah, that's massive, and it's such a smart play. We were talking to founder and CEO of Synthesia, and he was saying that the humans, were the LLM, and now it's like it's obviously shifted, right? How is this going to change like top line in terms of the customers that you're acquiring? Where do you think the kind of increase in customers in terms of industry or like role do you think it's going to now cater to for them with this new change?
Yeah, it's really good question, and it's interesting because really there are these sort of there are these two distinct personas that we think this is going to be really impactful for. There's two distinct sets of customers. So one is a customer that wants a customer. Let me reframe this. The long tail of CRM is ginormous. So you have, this is a ubiquitous product used by all types of companies, whether they are high tech, high growth companies, whether they are, agencies, whether they're SMBs, whether they're big, kind of old school mid-market companies, they all use CRM. And every business is vastly different. Even within our ICP, businesses are totally different. They all work in a different way. They have different types of customers, different processes, etc. So this idea that the product can be tailored to you is not just nice to have, it is make or break.
Yep.
And Attio has always been really good at tailor the data model, tailor the processes. But what this will do is actually tailor the functionality, tailor the integrations, and have this long tail of additional things that the product can do that don't need to be built by us. And in the same way that your iPhone can now be used as a payment terminal, it can also be used as a scuba dive research and weather forecasting tool. It can do all of these wide range of things, but Apple doesn't have to build all of those things. And it's still a great device to do that. It's still the best device to do that. And that's what we'd like Attio to become, is it is this absolutely incredible core platform. And when you need really specific functionality, you don't have to go without. You can, there will be a way to either just install that or to vibe code it inside of Attio. So it massively increases the usefulness and reach of the product when you look at the long tail and horizontal rollout. But what it does is, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just so excited about this. This is so great. Like my mind boggles at the thought of like the possibilities, right? Like the biggest value prop being, in my opinion, maybe the fact that like historically that you implement these large, not dated, but large CRM solutions. Like they can be clunky, they're kind of rigid sometimes, but it's always the individual who's using them is adapting to the way that they work. So it's like you have your workflows, yes, but I now have to adopt the workflows of this tool. Therefore, like it kind of changes the way that the company works. Like that's a microcosmic impact, but it does effervesce out into the whole company. But
it does.
And this is like a much again with the amount of possibilities that you can do in this new developer platform. I guess you're calling it is. That system will adopt to the way that you work, not just you individually, but the way your company is working, everyone within the company.
The way your company works, exactly, yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You've blown.
Sorry,
it's exciting.
I've been in GTM like my whole career, so this is like I've seen a lot. I've worked at Salesforce, like I've had CRMs in front of me before, and I've used SEO obviously. Like this is cool. This is really cool.
Yeah. It's a very, very, very exciting time to be building products like this because we're in totally uncharted territory. And I've been in tech for 15 years or something, and it always felt like there was advice how to do things, and there were best practices, and and innovation was incremental for a long time. In the way, lots of innovative ways to apply products to different use cases and to the world, but the way the products were built was relatively understood. Well, it's relatively incremental, but we're now in this really exciting world of completely uncharted territory. We don't know what UIs are going to look like. We don't know what UX is going to be like. We don't know how capable the models are going to be tomorrow, in 1 year, and 5 years. And so it feels like a very exciting time to be building, and we're really excited about the direction we're going in, and essentially allowing people to use the true full power of LLMs and actually generate code themselves and really build on top of a great platform.
Yeah, that's dope. Can I go again?
Go again. Go again.
The Series B. What have
Yes.
you done with the money? Why the Series B? Do we have another raise on the cards in the future? What's
Probably this product push was the money.
yeah? Was this the big?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so the money is that we got the money. I mean, the Series B was relatively recently. It's just at the end of the summer, and so mostly it has been accruing interest, which is very helpful. We raised around not too shortly before, so we were already pretty well capitalized when we raised the money. But what it's really allowed us to do is we have we're seeing really positive signs from the market and from our customers that we're on the right track. And so what it's allowed us to do is be much more aggressive in kind of pursuing all of these things. And that's really across the board. So we are massively expanding R&D. And if you are a European, highly ambitious software engineer that wants to come and work with us, then please get in touch. We have an insatiable appetite to hire engineers. So that's where we put a lot of our focus. And then we are in this, quite frankly, in this all-out war to win a category, and go to market and brand and all of those things are really, really important. So we're being very, very aggressive and ambitious in those areas as well. And what that looks like is if we go back a year and a half, we have a customer team, a revenue team of 2 people, and today it's closer to 30. So really, really, really aggressive expansion, and a lot of that, in fact, more than half of our go-to-market team is, or the revenue team is in the US.
Yeah. I want to ask, obviously, like the growth of Attio is just insane and exponentially growing. We had Nadir Israel, co-founder and CTO at Armis Security. They just raised 435 million for like pre-IPO kind of funding. We were talking to him specifically about like how his role has changed within the 10 years that he founded the company to now, how the role is changing. And, he was saying it's basically drastically changed, and he hasn't written a line of code since, 3 years, 7 years ago was the last time he wrote a line of code for it. Obviously you mentioned your job predominantly is basically hiring, and I completely agree with that. I think that's obviously great way to do it. How do you see your role changing over time in 2026? What do you think it will change into?
I share the sentiment of your previous guest that it's pretty unrecognizable from what it was, even a couple of years ago. I mean, the beginning of Attio, you do everything. While you wait for your your code to run through GitHub Actions, you log into Xero and start doing accounting. I mean, you just like doing absolutely everything. And then when you've done that, while you're walking to a coffee, you're answering intercom tickets on your phone, and it's just like it's this crazy cycle of just doing all of the roles. Then that changes as you start to scale up, and when you cross sort of 20, 30 people, you should have a team of people who are much better than you at all of the things that you were doing, and the team isn't dependent on you for those things anymore, and the role really shifts. And the role shifts to building the team, setting vision, keeping the company solvent and well funded. We basically, high grade people don't run out of money. And then the role shifts again when you cross, I would say, sort of 50, 60, maybe even higher, 70 people. And that's when you have to really start to think about how the company is organized. And your sort of informal ways of doing that don't work anymore. So at a company size of even at 50 people, if you asked me a question about anyone on the team, I could tell you what they were doing that day. Mm-hmm. If you said, what's Luke doing? I'll say, oh, he's refactoring part of our email sync for Gmail. And you can hold that state in your head. And you can also you can kind of disseminate information to pretty much everyone on the team. That doesn't work anymore past about 50 people. And so the role shifts again, which is that you now have to start building systems for context and information dissemination. And you have to start being very, very thoughtful about what your culture is and how you're going to make sure that you build a company that maps to that. And so that means you've got to start hiring a really, really good leadership team. For us at Attio, we like to lead through presence. So we want leaders that are very present, who super high context, very capable themselves. And finding those people is difficult. So that goes back to the hiring. But I haven't, with the caveat that I've been really hammering on our app SDK and building apps because it's been really fun. With that caveat, I've not contributed code to the main Attio code base for a couple of years. Still do code reviews so we can keep shipping. But yeah.
Nick's always shipping.
Nick's always shipping. Attio is always shipping.
That's the title of the Spotify.
Nick's always shipping. So cool. We're 2 minutes over. Before we let you go, I have to ask, how was the offsite in Malta? Very quick, just a closing remark. You put a message out. At the first one, there was 4 of you, and you said it's totally surreal to be back now with 100 incredible people.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, it was brilliant. We have teammates all over the world, really sort of Europe, US, everywhere. Getting everyone together in person is awesome. And it's also one of those moments where when you're building a company, you are really heads down. You're kind of blinkered. You're just one step at a time. And occasionally it's nice to look up and kind of, look down at the valley, see how far up you've gone, see how much you've got to do. But kind of, have that moment of perspective is really cool. So no, it was brilliant. We got a lot done. I think everyone's really pumped for the next 12 months and looking forward to the next one.
Awesome. Well, we're pumped for you as well. So yeah, look, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate the support. And yeah, we'll have to have you back on.
Keep it up. Really, really glad that this exists.
I appreciate it.
Cheers, Nick.
Really nice to meet you.
See you guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Ciao.
That is it. Just a quick word from our sponsors, ACI.dev, the open source middleware to control, govern, and observe AI. Access to your tools and data. Go to ACI.dev.
Let me tell you about our friends over there at Fora. That's Fora, workspaces to make your everyday extraordinary. Work from home at work. It's private offices, whole floors, dedicated desks. Fora offers workspace solutions for teams of all sizes.
There you go. That's the pod. Thank you so much for tuning in. We love you. See you later. Bye.
Ciao.